for business operations in India. Now, definitely, actually, I worked for 2.5 years in industry. Basically, I was working for mining business of Aditya Birla Group. So therein, I was actually associated with a project of sustainable development. So what basically is sustainable development? Why I took this particular case study is, before developing something, we should understand the ground reality. Okay, what is going on? Okay, so sustainable development means if industry, if an industry it works or it operates from a particular area, it is the responsibility of that industry and its people to develop that area also, the society wherein that industry is operating. So that is called sustainable development. Means your industry should not uh, actually give negative impact to the society wherein or the area wherein that particular industry is located. Okay, so it is related to pollution also, air, water, land. It is related to the agricultural growth, actually the educational growth of the people who are residing in that particular area, employment of those people. Okay, now you may ask this question, sir, why are you discussing this particular topic? Because we are slowly we will move towards the industrial revolution, correct? So industrial revolution in current phase, if you even are a computer science engineer or a faculty from that particular background, you want your people, your students to understand the concept of software engineering. Okay, you must understand that for these things also the software is getting developed, but ground reality we must understand. Okay, so let's see one by one what are those things that are actually important before developing something for sustainable development. So first is the understanding of the reality of remote location. We always talk, na, okay, remote location, remotely some sensor is placed, remote location is there. Oh, what is a remote location? I can give you one example, like where I was working, there were 3 offices. So I will talk about 2 offices. One was the mine location that was 50 kilometers from the office location where I was sitting actually. So what was the problem that you see, BSNL is was the whole sole service provider of that particular area. Okay, even though there are other networks, we took some service providers like CFI, Aircel. Okay, but they were using the towers of mobile towers of the BSNL only. So if BSNL is down, that even though you have the subscription from other service providers, your internet of that particular area will be down. Okay, so it used to be like that. So what we thought, say everything as a solution. So what we thought, like currently, uh, even though internet is not there, and I'm talking about the area in Odisha. Okay, so it was a remote area in Odisha, mining area. Okay, so uh, we we actually observed at that particular time that the TV and cable is accessible in every part of India, even remote locations. So what we did was we took the cable, okay, sorry, 2 cores of that cable. We gave some money, we offered some money, and we have some service level agreement with those people. And we said that we will utilize your TV cable for the purpose of sending the internet from office to 50 kilometers to that particular remote location if the internet is down in that particular area. So now you know what used to happen previously, because of no such kind of solution. We used to have like 60 to 61 percentage of internet every month, and it was very low because our SAP that was working over there, it was means that SAP was down. So because of that, no entry used to take place, and because of that, our marketing and our logistics people used to suffer. After this, we increased this solution, we increased our internet usage or internet uptime to 91 to 92 percentage. We calculated that, but still the problem was there. The the cable wire used to go from the top of through the forest, from the above some of the houses, the people who were living over there. So what they used to do, they used to cut the cable and they used to just dry their clothes on it. So this was the problem that we also faced. Okay, so socio economic, socio-political, all such kind of scenarios are also there. So what I am trying to give you is actually what is remote location if you define it in a particular area of India. Okay, now I'm not saying some urban area. I'm talking about where actual industry grows and industry is set up, and there what is the mindset of the people and how you are going to try the and find the solutions to different problems. Okay, so this was the remote location that we faced. Second is CSR activities. So business sustainable development of the business is actually related to the CSR, corporate social responsibility. So it is the policy of government that every industry, whatever the profit they are getting, 2% of that profit they have to spend on the development of the society. So it's part of that. So definitely we must understand on the ground something is happening. Okay. Now, when we say meaning of sustainability, I have already discussed now that people should grow with the industry. It's not like the industry is growing and it is giving a bad impact on the society. Where so it used to happen, that policies came in from the government, they applied it, and the industries are nowadays. Through the Department of CSR, there is an MBA program in CSR, and those people work under CSR and they work for that. Okay. एंड सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट एफर्ट्स है ना, जैसे इसमें मैं हिंदी में आपको बताता हूँ, मुर्गी पालन. ओके, सो पोल्ट्री agriculture and growing of trees. Okay, removal of wastage from water, so as to avoid the air pollution, or reduce the air pollution, water pollution, land pollution, such kind of things. Making of parks, educational institutes, so these are the development efforts. And where software comes into the picture, or the we always say ना automation. So automation comes into the picture, that it's very good ना, मैं आपको ये सारी चीजें बता रहा हूँ कि भाई ऐसा होगा, इंडस्ट्री सस्टेनेबल ग्रोथ होगा, वाटर पोल्यूशन रिड्यूस होगा. व्हाट आर द मेजरेबल पैरामीटर्स? So we should actually focus on the KPIs, key performance indicators, and based on that, we should actually come up with some measurable parameters. And those measurable parameters we have to take care of to give our sustainable development efforts. Okay, and there in the concept of automation, software, and all these things comes into the picture. Okay, necessary improvements related to those development. Okay, and impact of socio-political, I have already discussed with you, hai na? Ki the political environment is also there, the social environment I discussed na, people are cutting the cable and they are using it for purpose, for their own purpose, but actually our internet was going down, hai na? So this is one of the problems. Then technological benefits to achieve. So software, definitely software is there, but can we implement some AI? Can we implement some data analysis? Definitely, no, we did some data analysis. So it was it was at a very low level, like our internet uptime, downtime. So such kind of data analysis is also required in the industry. So we will talk about the technological revolution. I gave you one case study so as to understand what was the case. So I told you about the case that I saw in the year 2015. So we have improved a lot, but still some improvement is needed. Okay. But let's understand first the technological revolution. So first we must understand that this technological revolution is divided into pre-industrialization and industrialization era. Sorry. So pre-industrialization means when industries were not there and people were more inclined towards agriculture and farming, and they were more inclined towards doing activities related to stone making, masonry, and all. Okay, so basically related to agriculture, because agriculture was the fore front was at the forefront of all these things in the pre-industrialization area. Okay, so what do you mean by technological revolution? So it is actually a period in which one or more technologies is replaced by another technology in a short amount of time. So this is what हम लोग कहते हैं ना students को कि भाई आप जो definition है वही लिखो. So this is what the definition of technological revolution. Okay, so what happens during the technological revolution? So accelerated technological progress is there. Definitely, when you say accelerated technological progress means new innovation comes into the picture. Okay, but Those new innovations are related to rapid application and diffusion, that is called by abrupt change in the society. Abrupt change. Some change has occurred abruptly in the society. Okay. है ना, जैसे कि भाई सती प्रथा, इट वाज व्हेन इट केम, सो सती प्रथा हटाने की जब बात हुई होगी, सो इट वाज अ माइंडसेट दैट केम अब्रप्टली, है ना, मींस ये जो है इट वाज एक्चुअली चेंजिंग द डायनामिक्स ऑफ माइंडसेट ऑफ द सोसाइटी. So something like that. Okay. And technological revolution increases what? Productivity and efficiency. Very important. And when you say that you are coming from industry 1.0 to 2.0, there is some productivity change in the productivity and efficiency. Okay. And that's why you have changed your nomenclature also. Okay. So what are the examples of potential impacts of technological revolution? You see, the examples of those potential impacts may be related to the material or ideological change. I told you, na, like Sati Pratha, uh, the abolition of Sati Pratha. So, what was the thing? Ideological change. है ना? So, ideological change means they can be related to the uh, technology also. I am telling you about the socio-economic environment. Then business management, definitely, if you see MIS, before MIS, people were working in the industry, but they were working in decentralized way. Now, when management information system came, especially when SAP came and the Oracle also came and said that we will actually develop software for you. So business management became more efficient. It was not like a business was not managed before MIS, but centralized kind of hierarchy came into the picture. Okay, wherein less of wastage and more of efficient productivity came. Education, you know, social interaction, finance, and research methodologies. So these are the potential impacts of technological revolution, but there are certain characteristics also. Two important characteristics are, you see, the strong interconnectedness and interdependence of the entities or participating systems. And second is the capacity to transform the rest of the economy. And means something is coming now. IoT we are talking about. So do you think that the internet was not utilized? So we used to start with Google Talk. We used to chat on Rediff chat and a Rediff Messenger, Yahoo Messenger. So internet was there. But what abruptly came, so the chat became more efficient with Orkut. I don't know how many of you have used it, but in 2008, I think 2006, 2007, when I started my engineering program. So Orkut came, revolution came, and in the way of chatting. Then Facebook came, the revolution, actually improvement was observed. And then you can see now the old technologies of Google Talk. Who is utilizing it nowadays? I don't see anybody utilizing nowadays. They are more inclined towards WhatsApp. You know, so you see what is happening. We are trying to change the economy, the way the society thinks, and eventually the societal norms and their way of lifestyle or their way of thinking, their way of doing business in day-to-day lives. Okay, so this is what these are the characteristics of technological revolution. Okay, so like uh, when technological revolution comes, it doesn't mean that it is positive. Like I can give you an example of coal. Coal is a very during industry 1.0, first industrial revolution. This coal, the utilization of coal came into the picture for thermal, sorry, for steam engines and all. But what is the negative impact it on environment and technological unemployment? So we can think of a technological revolution in both ways, positive and negative. So this contradictory nature of technological revolution is known as creative destruction. This is known as actually creative destruction of the resources in that particular technological revolution. Okay. Now there are three important aspects of technological revolution. So it can be related to the relation revolution, societal relations, phones, sectoral revolution. We will take the questions at the end of the session. Okay, I will take all the questions at the end of the session. Is there any question? Okay, I think somebody has unmuted. I'm sorry. Okay, I will continue. So relation revolution, that is related to the revolution respect to social relations, है ना? Phones came. So there is a revolution came wherein 1 month was taken by the postal agencies to take our uh, posts or letters in uh, from one part to another part. Okay, and 1 month back when it is received back. Okay, similarly, the phones when came. So now, even though the due to Corona pandemic, this lockdown is there, I have not visited my family since March 2019, but I am always in touch with my uh, uh, I mean, with my family members and my relatives. Okay. Then sectoral, like green revolution and commercial revolution. Then universal, like second industrial revolution and Renaissance technological revolution. We will talk about these revolutions. But these are the three different categorizations of technological revolution. Okay. Now, why why you call it a revolution? So revolution means new cheap inputs are observed, new products came, and new processes are also involved, or they are associated with the development or the production of these uh, products. Okay, so three important parts of each revolution are new cheap inputs, new products, and new processes. So we must understand each revolution is comprises actually of these three things, and that's why the new means there is an abrupt technology, or and there is an abrupt change that we observe in our day-to-day lives or the business environment where we are living. Okay. Now, what we know about pre-industrialization, we will see in very brief, why this is important, because we must understand our history so as to understand what is going on. है ना? So you see, like when we talk about pre-industrialization, like upper Paleolithic revolution was there, wherein emergence of high culture or new technologies were there. Neolithic revolution, like our basis of human civilization to develop, was discussed at length there. Renaissance technological revolution, like innovations, है ना? So uh, the commercial revolution came, wherein European economic expansion, colonialization were observed, and a price revolution. So price revolution means high rate of inflation came. Because of what? Because of new cheap inputs, new product, new processes, but at the same time, in building those products or in manufacturing those products, some level of efforts are also involved, some machines are also involved. Because of that, the price revolution came. So it started from pre-industrialization phase, and it is still getting seen. It can be seen in Industry 4.0. Okay, then scientific revolutions, British agricultural revolution. If you see British agricultural revolution, I don't know how many of you are a fan of Robin Hood, but I am a fan of Robin Hood. I have been fan from my means childhood days. I used to read about him. So his stories are related to the British agricultural revolution. Okay, where emperors used to demand something different, and he used to actually loot those people who are rich and distribute it to the poor. Now, who were the poor? Who were deprived of their agricultural lands, or because of so many taxes that were going on. So let's see. So industrialization, there are four industrializations that happened: first, second, third, and fourth. Let's see briefly what are the technological revolutions that have come. So financial agricultural revolution came during the era 1600 1740 that I just now talk about. Kya hua ki in case of agricultural revolution, so people were more inclined towards agriculture. Okay, but because of uh, but later on, during the first industrial revolution, that is also known as industrial revolution, that came in 1780 and it lasted till 1840. What happened, like a lot of means a significant amount of taxes were imposed on the people, even though they were not means getting good productivity from their lands. And because of that, the need came, some new, definitely some new cheap inputs or raw materials were discovered, and because of that, the technology, some new technology came. We will talk about what are those technologies. Okay, then came the technical revolution. Now there is a difference between technological revolution and technical revolution. So technical revolution is also known as second industrial revolution. Okay, then came your scientific technical revolution. Then came your information and telecommunication revolution, that is also known as digital revolution or third industrial revolution. Okay, that started from 1975, and fourth industrial revolution 2020 onwards. Okay, now as I discussed now, there is a difference between technical and technological revolution. What are those? So technological revolution requires material changes in used tools, machines, energy sources, production processes. Okay. And when we talk about technical revolution, it can be restricted to changes in the management, organization, and non-material technologies. Like there was a progress in mathematics scene, na? Accounting, है ना? The people used to work on papers. Then came the concept of digital accounting, है ना? Wherein we discussed about Excel. Then we moved towards calculations in more sophisticated tools, like currently SAP and all are used in the industries for financial accounting and all. Okay, so they are embedding all those calculations. At the same time, they are trying to make you manage those accounting details on financial year basis. Okay, so this is the technical revolution. When we talk about the technological revolution, so technical revolutions can be the sources, or they can be utilized for the purpose of doing the material changes in the technological revolutions. Okay, so when we talk about the industrial revolution, you see new manufacturing processes in Europe and United States were seen. So the industrial revolution actually began in Great Britain, and then it is also known as the technological innovations by British people. Okay, so what were the transitions? Hand production methods to machines, new chemical manufacturing, iron production, increased use of steam power. I told you, na, like coal was discovered, so coal was discovered, so people started using steam engines, steam power, and then later on, steam engines were also built and then they were run. Okay, so rise of the mechanized factory system. Okay, so it is observed that in industrial 1.0, means industrial revolution 1.0, so there is an unprecedented rise in the rate of population growth. So by population growth क्यों increase होता है? They are getting more comfortable with the new technologies. Okay, so what is happening now because of the technological revolution, the industry 1.0, they found that okay, previously I used to have only 50 rupees in my hand in a month. Now I am having 100 rupees. I can feed one more. So
మీకేం
because
కాదు మా పేషెంట్ ఇక్కడ కూర్చున్న వాళ్ళకి బీపీ షుగర్ అంత అవసరమా మాకు కూర్చోవాలి
madam, please kindly mute your. Madam, hello, Pankaj sir.
ఇక్కడ ఇక్కడ ఉన్నన్ని రోజులు మనం ఏం
Hello,
వర్క్ చేసుకోలేదు
madam,
ప్రాబ్లం
Pankaj sir.
అసలు
Thank you. Rise in the rate of population growth. So population growth because of more comfort came. So I can feed one more person. Na? I'm getting more money in my hand. So because of that, the unprecedented rise in rate of population growth. Then comes what are the fields in which technological developments were there because of the raw materials. So textile manufacturing, iron industry, steam power, chemicals, paper machine, mining and transportation, hai na? So because roads were getting built, so mining and transportation became more easy, hai na? Social effects were also there, like factory system came, hai na? Standards of living, then literacy, clothing and consumer goods, and a population increase I have already discussed, urbanization, and most important in industry 1.0, effect on women and family life came into the picture. So there was a negative effect. What was observed that a lot of people, so in the agricultural era, the people were both women and men both used to work in the fields, agricultural fields. Nowadays men started, means industry 1.0, one men started to go into the factories and women were more centric towards the household activities. Okay, so there was a negative impact that was observed. Okay, and definitely there was an effect on environment, that is gradual rise in smoke and pollution. Coal, I told you, negative impact of technological revolution. When we say second industrial revolution, it is also known as technological revolution. And in this actually started from 19th century and early 20th century, it lasted. Okay. So what was the industry and technology like iron, steel, rail, so many things are there. Electrification came, petroleum, and petroleum was discovered. So after that, the purification, refinery came, chemical industries, and modern business management came, telecommunications came in the early 20th century, means the uh, time when the uh, second industrial revolution was ending and the third industrial revolution was coming. Okay, so these were the industry and technology related to industry 2.0. Then I have already discussed when we talk about industry 3.0 digital revolution, it is also known as that. And it is considered as a shift from mechanical and analog electronic technology to digital electronics now. So why digital electronics? Because the use of digital logic, MOSFETs, ICs, है ना? So we have already seen ना यहाँ सारे faculties हैं. मैं just आपको refresh कर रहा हूँ because हमने ये during our engineering program we have already read and studied, and we are also teaching these to the students, है ना? कि microprocessor usage, digital cellular phones came, internet came. Okay, so our day-to-day lives were getting very much improved, I should say. Okay, and we were getting so many technologies, and we were trying to reduce the effort and increase the productivity. Okay, so socio-economic impact was there. So information sharing and privacy, one of the concerns. Copyright and trademark issues, one of the concerns. And concerns related to storage and verification of data. Because digital revolution में क्या हो गया? अब हम accounting अपने copies में नहीं करते हैं. Okay, we are not making the notebooks. We are trying to store them, work on computers, and we are trying to store them. So what kind of technologies we must come up with so that our backup data is not getting destroyed because of something. And so like 6 months back, my whole PhD work was actually I lost them, but I saved as one as a backup. So I had a backup, so no issues. But it happened. So these are the important things. And first one, that is your information sharing and privacy. This STP is related to that, na, cyber security and all. So this is one of the concerns, and it will always be. But we have to come up with some technologies or techniques so as to deal with efficient uh, uh, addressing of such kind of problems. Okay. Now let's talk about Industry 4.0. थोड़ा boring हो गया था उधर. Industry 4.0. First of all, I would like to tell you that you see, Industry 4.0 is known as Fourth Industrial Revolution. No, it is not Fourth Industrial Revolution. It is the subset of Fourth Industrial Revolution. Okay, so Industry 4.0 is the subset of Fourth Industrial Revolution. And whenever I talk about Fourth Industrial Revolution, in last three industrial revolution, we have normally classified our revolution in terms of industry, but here new concept came that is known as smartness. Specifically, I should say the fourth industrial revolution comprises of smart cities. Okay, so this is an area that is new actually. ठीक है, normally क्या होता है कि whenever I talk about industrial revolution means some industry is anyhow involved. Herein smartness comes into the picture. Okay, so in industry 4.0 and in the fourth industrial revolution, they are interchangeably, people are utilizing it. Okay, but what happens when we talk about industry 4.0 factories? They have machines which are augmented with what? Wireless connectivity sensors. They are connected to a system that can visualize an entire production line. You can deploy some sensors, you can understand on that particular production line some mishappen has occurred. So because of that mishappen, we are trying to rectify, we are trying to address those issues so that our production line works efficiently, and it actually produces at a pace or rate that is efficient for our profit also. Okay, so industry 4.0, we are actually trying to go towards the automation, and we are trying to go emphasize more on data exchange in manufacturing technologies and processes. Okay, so these are the two important things. But what it includes is these topics: cyber physical systems. Okay, so the physical systems which are internet enabled, then Internet of Things, then industrial. I'm sorry, industrial Internet of Things, cloud computing, cognitive computing, artificial intelligence. Okay, so it is an amalgamation of all these um, terms. I am not going to say technologies, but all these terms. Okay, now you may go in the depth of these terms, and then if you come up with some techniques, so these technologies will progress. Okay, let's talk about the origin, Industry 4.0. So 2011, you see the German government, first of all, you must understand this term was utilized from manufacturing point of view. So German government said that we should promote the computerization of manufacturing. Okay. So Industry 4.0 with IE was publicly introduced at Hanover Fair. Hanover Fair happens every year, or I don't know, this year it has not because pandemic. So in October 2012, there was a working group of Industry 4.0. So they presented some recommendations to German federal government that how the computerization of manufacturing must happen. Okay, so this working group is considered I mean, the members of this working group, they are considered as the forefathers or founding fathers, okay, of Industry 4.0. And on 8th April 2013, the final report of working group was presented again at the Hanover Fair. Okay, so it was that working group was headed by Siegfried Dias, was from Robert Bosch GmbH, and Henning Kagermann. Okay, so German Academy of Science and Engineering. They both were heading that particular working group, and they came up with the resolution, and they come up with the final report saying that this is how the computerization of manufacturing can be done. In with and Later on, it was termed as Industry 4.0. Okay, so what are the strategies? So introduction of methods of self-optimization, self-configuration, self-diagnosis, and everything is self. Automation, cognition, intelligent support of workers. Then what are the design principles? So interconnection, information transparency, technical assistance. So there must be decentralized decision making. Then what are the components of Industry 4.0? So like mobile devices, IoT platforms, location detection technology is very important. Localization, 3D printing, smart sensors, big data analytics, and augmented reality. So these are the components of Industry 4.0. So am I
Sonal sir, please unmute yourself. Yes,
am I
please.
audible? Oh, okay, okay,
Yes,
okay.
sir, you are audible.
Data visualization,
Actually,
triggered real.
actually, there was the interruption among the participants. That's why I have muted all. So,
Okay,
meanwhile, you was also muted as a co-host.
no issue,
That's
sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
thank
So these are the components of Industry 4.0, with the use of which you can realize these strategies by adopting the design principles and goals that I have just now discussed. Okay, so four components. There are a lot of components you can see over here now, so you can actually aggregate them into four components that we have already discussed in the previous slide, like cyber physical system, IoT, cloud computing, and cognitive computing. Cognitive में आप augmented reality को ले लीजिए, wearables, है ना, IoT में आप fog ले लीजिए, edge and cloud computing ले लीजिए, है ना, real time training, visualization, cognition में आ जाएगा. Okay, cloud computing में आ जाएगा everything. Cyber physical systems में you can talk about mobile devices, smart sensors, है ना. So actually, this is a very important slide, है ना. Herein you will understand, if you want to focus on research in this particular field, you have a lot of words that you can see over here, and you can, by the virtue of which you can go ahead and do research in it. Now, what are the Industry 4.0 drivers? You see, the digitization and integration of vertical and horizontal value chains. What do you mean by vertical? So vertically, if you talk about Industry 4.0, so it integrates processes across the entire organization, like product development, manufacturing, logistics. So by the virtue of what? By the virtue of utilization of sensors in logistic operations. So that is what the concept of your vertical. When we talk about the horizontal, so horizontally, the Industry 4.0, what it includes, the internal operations from suppliers to consumers and all the key value chain partners, है ना? Like self-driving cars, है ना? Self-driving cars. So in case of self-driving cars, what happened actually? So all the internal operations are related to what? So you cannot say that self-driving cars, I will build a self-driving car and I will just put it on the road. No, who are the stakeholders? The stakeholder is also the road on which it will work. And the customer, are they technologically efficient enough to ride that kind of vehicle? Okay, are your roads means are your roads built in that way in which you can support such kind of vehicles? Okay, so we must address these issues also. Similarly, digitization of product and service offerings are there. And so here in what we talk about the integration of new methods for data analysis and collection of those methods. And then we have to think about refining those products in order to meet the customer needs in the best possible way. So therein we talk about the products and service offerings. You cannot offer some services like that. Now, I will accept some service when it is actually impacting my day-to-day lives in a positive sense. Correct. Then third is that digital business models and customer access. What do you mean by that? You see, customer satisfaction is very important. Huh? So why we are coming up with Industry 4.0 and maybe Industry 5.0, 6.0 may come in coming future years. So why is it important? Customer satisfaction. At the same time, when customer is satisfied, they will demand more. When demand is more, you will produce more. You will definitely get benefit. Okay. So, but what is important over here is that your business model must support a very important, I mean, must be made in such a way as to understand that customer satisfaction is multi-stage and also it is never ending, like this talk. Okay. So I'm giving you a talk on Industry 4.0 in a different way. Maybe possible you have some doubts. You go after this and you search about Industry 4.0. Or maybe possible that after this, you may get to understand about Industry 4.0 from other faculty or some other resource person. Correct. So your zeal for knowledge about Industry 4.0 is, it's not like your, means it's ending. It's never ending, actually. And so it is multi-stage. You may have doubts in different stages, and different layers of your doubts may be there. And so means doubts, sub-doubts, and all related to a particular doubt. So definitely, your digital business model must cater to such kind of means needs. Okay. So let's talk about some fun facts. You see, when we talk about industrial Internet of Things, actually, it was utilized a lot, and therefore it is also referred to as Industry 4.0 at Bosch. Bosch is a company, and generally industrial IoT is referred by means in Germany. Okay, it started from Bosch, and it is generally referred. So basically, it is Industry 4.0 only. Also, the applications including machines that can predict failures and trigger maintenance processes autonomously or self-organized logistics. So it is related to Industry 4.0. Something I thought why not to share with you, because what happens, there is means sometimes confusion comes. What is industrial IoT? What is Industry 4.0? Okay, so we must understand the difference about that. What are the challenges? Economic challenges, high economic cost, business model adaptation, and all such things are there. You can see on the slides. But I would like to say that if you want to work on automation of the manufacturing, definitely you must means means you must wait for a certain amount of time, and during that your economic progress may get hampered. Okay, it's not like when you start your, you say that I will be building a manufacturing hub, so it will be built in a day. It will take 4 years to plan and build, and after 4 years, when it starts the production and the selling comes, then only your economic growth is there. Then social issues, privacy, surveillance, है ना, threat of redundancy of corporate IT departments, है ना, so social challenges are there, political challenges are there, है ना, regulation. So Germany, they wanted, that country wanted that there must be automation of manufacturing sector, so they came up with such kind of policies also. So regulation and policies are very much important. है ना. अब जैसे जो प्राइवेसी में काम करते हैं, so they know कि getting data from hospitals is very difficult, है ना. So in foreign countries it's all the more difficult, but in India also it is very difficult because we do not know whether those data are accurate or not, है ना. Then comes the organizational challenges, lot of challenges, IT security issues, reliability and stability, है ना. Machine to machine communication we are talking about, but what kind of latency is observed in such kind of communication? Need to maintain the integrity, है ना. Then there are, you must know the know-how, expensive production outages are there. Do you have the skill set? The best part of, see, I'm not trying to focus and advertise about the government, but I'm telling you for your sake that the best department that Modi government came up with this, actually when I visited parliament 2 years back because of some internship, I had a discussion with one person over there, and I got to know that the best department that Modi government has come up with is skill development department, where he says that ऐसा नहीं करो भाई कि घर बनाने के लिए किसी को भी उठा लो, वो कुछ भी घर बना देता है. So it's not a good thing ना. When you are making your house, you want that your house, the architecture, everything should be good. So the people, laborers who are working, they must be skilled also. They must also know कि भाई द ब्रिक्स उसको लगाने के लिए 4-5 तरीके होते हैं, है ना. ऐसा नहीं होता है कि जस्ट पुट अप द सीमेंट, पुट अप द ब्रिक एंड देन सीमेंट. इट्स नॉट लाइक दैट. सो स्किल डेवलपमेंट मस्ट आल्सो बी देयर. सो ही केम अप विद दिस पर्टिकुलर डिपार्टमेंट. So low top management commitment, this is one of the challenges. Insufficient qualification of employees. I have been discussing that. Okay, so it's when I worked in industry, I had an experience that people say that getting into the industry for the students is very easy, but retention into the industry for the students is very difficult. They think that if I get into the industry, I will be retained. No, it's not like that. So you have to develop your skills. Otherwise, you will not be retained. Same for us faculties also. है ना? So let's talk about the second reason that I discussed. कि भाई IoT is still received as debatable subject, है ना? So standardization is a very big issue in IoT. So once we have discussed about industrial revolution, let's talk about that. Okay. So first I will discuss about ICT. So smart world has attracted a lot of attention, and device to device communication, and my research work was also related to device communication. And last year I had a discussion with when I met Dr. Bhamri. I had a discussion with him about my PhD work, and we discussed a lot about what's going on in the surrounding and all around the world. So I also worked on this device to device communication, but actually this is related to information and communication technology. What is it basically? It is the unification of communication. Okay. Communication is there by 802.11a b g n. Okay, 802.15.4, 802.16, 802. This, that, xx. Okay, but how you are trying to unify that is very important, and that's where the concept of, see, first of all, your backbone network must be strong. Okay. Then comes the integration of telecommunication, computers, enterprise software, and audiovisual systems. So what you are trying to do with ICT is to enable users to access, store, transmit, and evaluate the information. Okay, this is very important. And herein we talk about the skill frameworks for the information age. What is that? So categories. What is that category? So strategy and architecture. I can have an analogy with artificial intelligence when I talk about the skill set of ICT. So what is that? You see, uh, categories. है ना? When we talk about artificial intelligence, you have different types of agents, different types of environment. Environment is dynamic. Agents have to act upon those environments on the basis of what that agent is sensing from that particular environment. So similarly, so the responsibility comes कि भाई how the agents must follow, assist, apply, enable, ensure, and advise for the activities that is going on that particular environment. है ना? So similarly, what is the what level of autonomy you want from those agents? What kind of influence one agent has on other agent that is existing in that particular environment? What is the complexity of that particular artificial intelligence system? I'm talking about multi-agent systems over here. Okay, and then the business functionality comes into the picture. Okay, what kind of functionality you want in that particular business. So all these are skill frameworks. When you talk about ICT and you want to come up with some means new technologies and work on some technologies, you must address these all things all together. Okay. So this is the ICT technology development breakdown. You know, it's you can have an analogy with software engineering. They go see what happens in software engineering. Like 10% of the work is coding, and everything else is like maintenance. Your means all other activities. Okay, testing, maintenance, documentation, everything is 90% of the work in software project management. Similarly, you can see over here. You see personal cost 31%, software cost 29%, 26% is the hardware cost, and external service provider cost is 14%. This is the technology development breakdown. ICT if you go for establishing some business, but at the same time you want some technologies to be to incorporate some technologies in that particular business, you must understand this. Okay. So what is the stat? So over 4.5 billion people have access to the internet. 8 out of 10 internet users nowadays, they use smartphones. This is the stat that I found on internet because of some research work I was doing in, I think in the May March. Okay, it is written at the bottom, May 14, 2020. I searched about it. Okay, so information and data access in real time is ever demanding. These three are very important stats. On the basis of that, you see there are critical issues when we talk about information implementation of information and communication technology, developed versus developing countries. I can give you a very suitable example, like the technology mobile phone means CDMA versus GSM. Okay, so CDMA wants what? Very accurate communication. So accuracy comes if you have a density of population. So in that case, may be possible that CDMA will not work properly. Okay, so that was the problem with Smart, I think, Reliance Smart in 2000, 2001. Okay, so a lot of jish used to come. Okay, such kind of noise used to come during the mobile phone, whenever we used to communicate on mobiles using those phones of Reliance. Okay, so how do you penetrate remote areas? So making of backbone networks in those remote areas. I discussed what is a remote location and how it happens in India. I do not know. I have never visited some remote location of foreign countries, but you can start with our country. You can understand how it happens. Availability of cellular coverage. Definitely, herein we are progressing. Herein we are progressing. Okay. Electronic transmission. You must address the issues of line of sight, non-line of sight, obstructed line of sight. Okay. And other such kind of parameters. Free space. Okay. Indoor, medium. Backbone network, I have already discussed. Backbone network is very important in ICT. Okay. Now let's talk about IoT. What is IoT? So it is the scope of connecting and communicating among all the devices in the world. Okay. By the virtue of what? By the virtue of internet. So what is very important? So those devices are energy constant. They have limited computing powered devices. And batteries use होते हैं sensor में. Sensor nodes जो होते हैं, if you have seen, batteries use होते हैं. So you must address these two issues. Limited computing power and energy constant devices are there, and you want those devices to get connected to the internet. You know, so the distributed devices of various types are there. You have sensors, actuators, servers, mobile stations. So Internet of Things में क्या होता है? All the devices, your shirt, your pant, your belt, your chair, your table, your bed, your bed sheet, your everything, what you see around you. Okay, even your children, they are internet enabled. Okay, so what happens? Means everything is connected with the internet, and now you are communicating. So I gave you an example of, in the case study, I gave you an example of remote location, where internet was a very big issue. So we know that with the use of a very strong backbone network, we can be able to come up with the solutions wherein everything is internet enabled. So that is what the concept or scope of this IoT. What are the issues? You see, network architecture, coverage, coverage, how you give a proper coverage for those devices, because they have computational and communication limitation as well. Collective intelligence, therein the concept of cognition comes. mobility, routing, on the move configuration, and so you cannot say that nowadays in current scenario all the devices, you have a mobile device with you, and every time you are moving from one location to another location, your location is getting tracked. And ease of communication, massive amount of devices are there, heterogeneous devices are there, and they have, so you have to address the concept of self organization and robustness. They must form a network. Even though they are mobile, they must cluster themselves with some base station. Okay, and most important issue is the integration of different technologies, protocols, and platforms that I have discussed at the start of this talk. This we must address with regard to IoT. You see, these are the parameters, affecting the IoT system. How you deploy, how do you connect, how do you respond, the energy consumption must be means optimized, how you increase the lifetime of the device and the network, how do you increase the reliability of the device and the network. Okay, because individual devices, if their reliability and lifetime are increased, definitely the network's reliability and lifetime gets increased. Okay. So what is the purpose of Internet of Things? You see, it is a global network interconnecting smart objects. A range of technologies are there. And what is the goal of IoT? Basically, to develop applications and services. Okay. And when we talk about the conceptual pillars of IoT, you see, there are three conceptual pillars. All the devices you are connecting, but they must be uniquely identifiable. Okay. They must have some identity. Communication capability must be there, and they must collaborate. This is very important. Okay. So, so there are two distinction of devices, in case of IoT. One is sensor device, one is IoT device. So herein, I would like to state that IoT is an environment that consists of two devices. So sensor devices, what they do, they measure the physical properties or whatever properties they are intended to measure. Okay. And then they just transfer it to whom? IoT device. Now, what is an IoT device? Very simple definition. You take a thing or a device, any device, okay, add computational intelligence to it to make it a computational intensive device. Okay, and then add network connection, it becomes an IoT device. So what IoT device has that sensor doesn't have is a supreme computational intelligence and a communication capability. Okay, so IoT device actually uses the internet protocol stack for the communication. So this is what the difference between sensor device and IoT device. You can take an example ना. So you take your cellular phone, like मैंने जो आपको बताया Nokia 2310. Okay, now you add GPS, high speed mobile broadband, touch screen, wireless fidelity, high end display, camera, sensors. So what is happening? Smart cellular phone comes. Okay, so this is what the concept over here. Na? So I told you about intelligence. You see, I have also written over here. वे इंटेलिजेंस में आप जीपीएस सेंसर्स कैमरा हाई एंड डिस्प्ले वायरलेस फिडिलिटी लगा सकते हो नेटवर्क कनेक्शन के लिए आपको क्या चाहिए हाई स्पीड मोबाइल ब्रॉडबैंड ओके these are the IoT building blocks, means for building a particular IoT system. So deployment of networks, how you are using the smart agents for increasing the collective embedded intelligence, develop smart spaces. So smart spaces means you have integrated infrastructure. Then web-based applications and e-services, very important because we want everything in real time. Okay, so when you want everything in real time, somewhere you have to use the web टेक्नोलॉजी ओके देन कम्स द सिस्टम आर्किटेक्चर ठीक है कि कैसे आप डेटा और इंफॉर्मेशन को जनरेट करोगे एंड प्रोसेस करोगे इन रियल टाइम सो देयर इन डेटा एनालिसिस क्लाउड एंड ऑल दिस other terminologies or technologies come into the picture okay so these are the various technical issues, like hostile environment, node mobility. I have already discussed coverage through internet networking, terrain limitations. These are very important with respect to your research also. Huh? If you want to research, you take this particular topic and work on it. Heterogeneous characteristics of the devices are there. Processing architecture. And most important, localization is actually, you see what happens, location-based service is the supreme application nowadays. Hai na? Everything you want nowadays you say that you turn on the GPS and whenever you start any services they say that turn on the GPS location based services they want to offer and for location based services you have to address these other uh, uh, challenges and issues. Okay, so as to give a location based service, because you want the location of a particular device to be available every time. Okay, and now we come towards our third part of this talk, that is smartness is everywhere, but how the reliability can be achieved, you know. So therein we are going to talk about the collaborative data processing. Okay. So you see, when we say collaborative data processing, first of all, we must understand some terminologies like communication. What is communication? The exchange of ideas and information. Okay. Then second term is cooperation. So cooperation is to work with someone in the sense of enabling. Okay. So there is a difference. Huh? In the sense of enabling means you are not working as a whole soul, but you are cooperating means, hey, I am a person A. I ask some person B, hey B, just cooperate with me. Means I have some work. You give me some resources and information related to it so that I can make this work successful. And it is actually achieved using conscious and deliberate efforts. Deliberation is very important over here. And then comes the concept of coordination, you know, action of users directed by coordinator. One coordinator is there, you do this, you do that, you do that, you do that, and a common goal is there. So when all the persons who are assigned with some work, they will come up with this success of their work, a common goal is actually achieved. Okay, so this is what the concept of coordination is. And then comes the concept of collaboration, that is a collective effort of people to achieve desired goal. So willingness, we are collaborating on a Google Doc to prepare a report or prepare a PPT. What do you mean by that? So we all are willing to work on that particular PPT. It's not like कि, hey, तुम मुझे ये दे दो, तुम मुझे ये दे दो. No, no, we all are willing. Okay, even though you are not working, I will work on this particular thing. Willingness is there, then the collaboration comes into the picture. So you see, means uh, means emphasizing on uh, the topics more, you know, because if we understand these topics, then we can do a proper research. Okay. And then finally, what is a task? That is a schedulable function or feature executed in temporal scope, means with time, at different time instances. Okay, so that is what. So it may be periodic, aperiodic, sporadic, deadline based, precedence based, priority based. Okay, so based on that, you can work upon communication, cooperation, coordination, collaboration, and then come up with these. With the different communication, cooperation, coordination, collaboration techniques and technologies and algorithms to process a particular task, which may be periodic, aperiodic, sporadic, deadline based, precedence based, and etc. 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 Okay. So what is the definition of collaborative data processing? Collection and management of data from one or more sources and distribution of information to a particular destination. What is the goal? Because you want to control, process, evaluate, and report some data and information activities. And what is achieved? What is the need? So you have to build a collaborative architecture and algorithm. Okay, so you must address key issues. Okay, so why I am saying collaborative signal and information processing? Because we are trying to we are trying to discuss the collaboration among the devices. So devices means definitely they are trying to send and receive signals to exchange the information. So four key issues are there and research topics are there. How to dynamically determine what needs to be sensed. Who should sense? How often the information must be sensed? Okay, and who should compute and how? These are most important four questions that we must address. I'm sorry. Let's talk about collaborative IoT, you know. So when I talk about collaborative IoT, so there are three important aspects: cooperation, competition, and self-organization. Okay, these three important terms must be addressed. Okay, please excuse me. I'm sorry. So see, IoT cannot exist without wireless sensor network, but wireless sensor network can exist without IoT. You must always understand this. Okay, and that's why when I say that categories of WSN enabled IoT, so it has two types of categories. One is collaboration based WSN, second is WSN based collaboration. What is collaboration based WSN? So you have some collaborative algorithm. Now you want to uh, uh, create a network of wireless sensor networks, है ना? On the basis of the collaboration algorithm or theory that you have. Here in the case of WSN based collaboration, you have a sensor network, wireless sensor network. Now, to achieve or process some task or operate on some certain tasks, you have to come up with some collaboration algorithm or theory. It is just vice versa. So these are the two different categories or the two different categories in which the research can be done also. So I always show the collaboration with this particular diagram, so it will be very much understandable to you. You see, the star actually shows an event. Okay, so this star is an event that has occurred in a particular place at a particular place. Now it can be seen over here that the circle represents the um, communication range of these two devices. Okay, now since these two devices, the communication range of these two devices, this event has occurred, so they both will sense and they both will send the data to the root node if we are considering a tree hierarchy. Okay, so what is happening, they both are sending. So what is happening at the root node, the data are received, the data are received twice. Okay, so redundancy of data is there at the same time. If both the nodes are sending the same data, so both the nodes are also in sensing and forwarding the data, they are consuming some energy, and we should avoid such kind of things to happen, because consumption of energy, if you can understand that this, if this particular event is getting detected at the same place 10 number of times or n number of times, so this particular node will their energy will be consumed a lot, and they will die after some time. Die means their power outage will be there. Okay, we have to avoid. So they must think about, or we must think about developing some algorithm कि भाई तू एक बार भेज मैं अगली बार भेजता हूँ, or some other technique, है ना? कि, so this is a very basic example from where we can start about working on the collaborative data processing or collaboration. Okay, there are certain characteristics like power consumption. We have already discussed, na? Ability to cope with node failures, mobility of node is there, distributed processing demand is there in current scenario, communication failures are observed, and we want real-time services to be achieved. And a high-scale data processing, both locally and globally. Hai na? Means in this particular example, if I say at this nodes level also data processing is required, a high scale of data processing in current context. I'm telling you, real time scenario in which we are living, and also at this whole systems level also, wherein we have created this data structure of network communication. So both local and global level also, ability to withstand harsh environmental conditions, remote conditions especially, layman sense में हम कहते हैं ना, ease of use and power consumption. ठीक है, so these are the characteristics we must address whenever we work on collaborative data processing. And what are the key evaluation matrices? Matrix, sorry, matrix. So we are we are focusing on these characteristics. We are trying to develop some algorithms because we want to work on improvement of lifetime, improvement of coverage and connectivity, reducing the cost and increasing the ease of deployment, improving the response time, and temporal accuracy, sampling rate, security. Okay, security is always there. Okay, everywhere security is there, है ना? So either you improve or optimize. Optimize is a very good term. Okay. Now, what are the research areas in CDP? You see, the research areas in CDP can be categorized into network-based and QoS-based. QoS is quality of services. So when I talk about network-based, so deployment, coverage, localization, and clustering. These are the four topics that we have to work upon. Okay, and you might be thinking that वायरलेस सेंसर नेटवर्क में भी तो यही काम होता था, तो IoT में क्या करना है? You see, there is only one difference between IoT and WSN, that WSN exists can exist without IoT, but IoT cannot exist without wireless sensor networks. Okay, means sensors are integrated part of IoT. So therein also we have to discuss the QoS, quality of services like energy conservation, lifetime, connectivity, reliability, response time. Okay, and developing the collaborative data processing based collaborative algorithms to achieve collaborative data processing. Okay, so I'm just giving you what happens, like if you start with your research in this particular area. So you see, this is means if you go for a device, so in there how signal processing happens. So sampling happens, then process single sensor, all the fuse all the multiple onboard sensor data, then query your neighbors, fuse all the information you have received with the neighbors, and beam formation, and then this beam formation is sent as alarms to the next layer, है ना? So what is happening over here? So this part of below this, the autonomous operation must be done, and above this the cooperation in the form of collaboration is we are trying to achieve, or the researchers must understand and work upon this particular part, so what is happening when you are going from a lower layer to higher layer? Your power consumption increases, your detection rate increases, quality of your data or signal processing increases, but your false alarm rate decreases when you go from low levels to higher levels. Okay. So since we are talking about devices and IoT, we must address these issues. Okay. And classification you can also do for this collaborative data processing in a different way: data and information sensing, communication of sense data, and computing. So when I say collaborative wireless sensor network, same, all things are there. You have to discuss about collaborative sensing, communication, computation. You have communicated, no? Now you have to compute. And who should compute? Okay, IoT devices should compute, or sensor devices should compute. Information extraction, collaborative routing. Okay, all these things are come into the picture. And when you talk about security ना, everywhere आपको security के बारे में सोचना ही सोचना है, ठीक है? Everywhere, because cyber physical systems are there. Those physical systems are not secure, definitely not secure. I have worked on some of the cyber physical systems and some of the sensor devices as well. And I'm telling you that security, a lot of colleagues of mine, they used to work on this particular part, and a lot of algorithms are getting developed to make them secure. So collaborative sensing, if we talk about, they are actually related to this. You have to detect anomaly, sample, threshold comparison, information fusion, neighbors, improve signal quality, and this particular circle or cycle goes on. So herein, you just apply your security at each and every phase. Okay, so you will understand that it is a very big issue to or challenge on which you can do your research. Then when we talk about the attributes of collaborative sensing, definitely, what is the size of sensor? What kind of deployment is there? What is the mobility model? What kind of sensing is required? And what are the metrics? And so what I'm trying to give you are the different terms and techniques that you must address for each and every part. Okay, and everywhere security is involved. If you see, if you want to go for operating environment, security is involved. Energy availability, okay, fine, maybe possible because of some security reasons, even though your algorithm is good, but your device is taking a lot of energy. So we must try to address such kind of issues. Okay, when we talk about the communication, what is the type of communication? Global communication, local communication. Then what is the success scenario? Minimum response time, maximum throughput. I have already discussed this. But these are the terms. Again, when we talk about communication, we have to discuss about our collaborative algorithm with respect to these terms in the communication. Okay. Then comes collaborative computing. You see, we have discussed a lot of things. Now, means we have discussed a lot of things, and in our previous studies also during our engineering program, and we also teach our students about this model: centralized computing model, distributed computing model, client-server communication, and distributed communication. Okay, so what happens over here? You see, computation when you are doing that is at node level, local level, global level. Means local clustering and global clustering. I'm talking about. Okay, so three important things are there. What is the time spent in transmission? what is the overhead time of each and every device, and the processing time of the device and the network. Okay, because there may be intra-network communication and inter-network communication. Okay, so you see, centralized computing model, what happens actually? So client server computation is there. Here in the server is there. The clients are what they are doing. The servers are the having the set of services, resources, know-how parameters, and what these clients they do, they are distributed and they request some execution of services. So here in what happens? So all the execution will be done by the server and returned back to the client. Okay. So what the client is migrating in this particular or communicating to the server, the data. Okay. And when we talk about the distributed computing model, what is happening? A mobile agent comes into the picture. So mobile agent is a piece of code, you know. So what happens? The server has know-how services, but these clients which are distributed, all they have all the resources now. So now whenever a client wants some execution, so mobile agent is sent to that particular client. They do the services. It's similar to the remember in computer networks, you know, the tokens are sent. On the basis of that token, the processing is done and the token is sent back to the in the network. Same over here it happens. So the processing center or the server will send the mobile agent. It revolves around the network, and then it gets received by the processing center, wherein it will understand that okay, the processing of all the clients is done. Okay, so what is the attribute of this particular mobile agent? It has some identification, it has some itinerary, it has some data space, it has some service know-how, because processing center has service know-how ना, तो execution कैसे करना है client को? But इसमें क्या है देखो, centralized and distributed computing model में there is a thing we must understand. So when your network is sparse, you know, so because in client server communication, high energy consumption and storage requirements are there, and longer processing times are there. So it is applicable for smaller and sparse networks. And mobile agent based model kya hai? Energy consumption and storage requirements are relatively lesser. है ना? So it suffers from longer network latency time with small networks, and that's why it performs better with more density of nodes. है ना? So that's why we can come up with a hybrid scheme, you know, that we tried to propose. I'm trying to address that. So there are two schemes. So what the first scheme says that the number of nodes within a cluster is large. You can see the number of nodes within a cluster is large and the number of clusters are less. So in that case, what you can do is within for intra-cluster communication, what you can do is you can go for distributed computation, mobile agent based, and for inter-cluster communication, you can go for client server based communication. Okay. And herein, these sensors may be, these devices are the sensors. You can give your or assign your cluster head, that is the shaded, those are the shaded nodes over here. You can assign them as IoT device. So IoT devices are computationally and more efficient than the sensor devices, and they have more communication capability than sensor devices. So now, what I'm trying to achieve is an IoT network where sensor devices are sensing and communicating all their data to the IoT devices in a cluster, and all the IoT devices from different clusters are communicating with the processing center. Now, what is this processing center? They may be an IoT device, they may not be an IoT device. It doesn't matter. They may be a cloud. This processing center, it may be a cloud, it may be an IoT device, it may be a simple gateway because to send this particular data to another network. Are you understanding? And what is the scheme 2? Scheme 2 says that there are a lot of clusters, okay, and the number of nodes within or the density of nodes within a cluster is less, as you can see. So definitely intra-cluster communication can be done by the client server mechanism, and inter-cluster can be done with the use of distributed mechanism. So this is one of the techniques or the thinking with which you can go for collaborative computing, you know. Similarly, you can think of some other techniques or of devising some other algorithms to work upon such kind of problems. Okay, so there are different challenges, you know, like device deployment, है ना? Energy consumption, how you can report the data, your node link heterogeneity. Heterogeneity is a very big issue in IoT. Then fault tolerance. We want everything to be automated. So if I want the automation to be done, definitely I want my system to be fault tolerant. And Self-organizing, competition, that I discussed in my prior slides. Scalability is a very big issue. I'm not talking about the devices in India, in America, in Australia. I am talking about all the devices in the world. So the weather will be from all across the world. Okay, the maybe possible I can get some data from all across the world. Okay, network dynamics. Network is changing, huh? With time, our properties of the network and all the relevant things are getting changed, you know. So transmission media, I already discussed. Okay, line of sight, non-line of sight, multipath propagation, and a high error rate. We have to work on that. Connectivity, then data aggregation. I discussed one problem. Already I have discussed. Data aggregation is done, but at the cost of redundancy. Whose sensor devices are sensing the same event and then sending. So how the collaboration can be achieved over here? And definitely quality of services, all the metrics like throughput, response time, lifetime, connectivity. Okay, all these things we must have to address. Okay. So collaboration in IoT, if I say to summarize, you see, you have to embed numerous heterogeneous devices. Why? Because you want to improve the sensing and actuation capability. Okay, then only you can say that I will go for some designing of a framework for artificial intelligence, for multi-agent systems, for cognition capabilities, for cyber physical systems. What you are trying to achieve is, you cannot say that I have uniform or same kind of devices. I have heterogeneous devices. Now, concerned about that, I have discussed a lot of things that happens in those devices. So what are the issues? How you can exploit redundancy, how you can work upon the tiered architectures, spatial diversity, and adaptive deployment, distributed in-network processing. So processing happens at node level, in-network processing, end-to-end processing, the same security. I'm discussing over here, no? Okay, secure routing. And so what is happening? Node, the security at node, in-network security, end-to-end security, and with increase of the number of devices all around the world, you see, the number of devices or internet connected devices are increasing. So this is a very big issue that we have to address. And how you can integrate all in complex IoT scenario. So these are the issues that we must discuss. You see, to summarize, I am not going to summarize about what I have discussed so far. I'm going to summarize about what you have to do after this particular talk. You have to understand the technological revolution benefits and limitations. Yeah. See what happened, why this technological revolution came. You have to recognize the key parameters and building blocks associated with Industry 4.0. And you must understand and work upon to realize the vision of IoT. You see, IoT, that is why in my first slide, title slide only, I said that IoT is a debatable subject. And I have seen so many people working in the industry, they are saying that we are producing IoT applications, but they are not working on protocols of IoT known as MQTT. I have not discussed the protocols of IoT, but there are application layer protocols like MQTT, okay, then CoAP. If you are not working with the protocols of IoT, how can you say that you are working on IoT? Okay, so just for the sake of getting benefit, some I have seen in conferences, they talk about this, and when I question them, they say that, you see, I got this answer from them that, you see, profit is also one thing. So if they get the profit with HTTP, they don't want to even explore MQTT and CoAP. So this is not actually the deal. If you want to go for IoT based work, you have to realize the vision of IoT. You have to explore different research areas relevant to this topic. I have discussed a lot, but you have to go for that if you are interested, of course. Plan and produce different collaboration theories. Like when I worked upon the collaboration theory related to the how mosquitoes reproduction works. Okay, so I worked upon this particular theory and published one actually journal, sorry, conference paper, and we got good results on that particular theory. I'm still exploring that particular theory. Okay, on the basis of the mosquito reproduction, how you can go forward and work upon collaboration theories. So there is a collaboration happening in the case of this mosquito communication also. Very, very good theory, actually. You should go through the government policies. And I don't know if how many of you know, but there is a government policy of Industry 4.0 and IoT policy of government also. Go through that. Go understand the vision of government. So you can be able to actually produce good research topics, and you can be able to write good projects for the government. Don't feel like whether you get the project or not. You write those projects. Okay, then seek the problems in our surrounding and implement the solutions. Very simple problems. Okay, very simple problems. Like I found a very simple problem. But means this is not a very this means very. It is a very well-known problem. I must say. Like what is that problem? So when I purchased RO in for my house, I found that a lot of water is getting wasted. Okay, so this is a very big problem and people know about it, but solutions may be possible. People are working on finding the solution or devising the solution. So I have been thinking for last 6 months, and I have been trying to build a prototype. I'm interested in discussing with you. Maybe possible some of you may tell me whether you have come up with the solution. So like I'm thinking about why not to just attach some sensor in it. Okay, to means I'm thinking about some prototype. Okay, way wastage of water can be reduced. So think about such kind of issues and how you can work upon realizing the vision of government also. You know? So I would like to thank all my participants. Okay, I would like to thank the all the people involved in organizing this STTP to give me this opportunity to share my ideas and views with all of you. Thank you very much. I'm open to the questionnaires now. I'm open for the questions, if any. I have seen that during my presentation, a few participants raised their hand.
Participants, house is open for asking the queries to Dr. Saurabh. Anyone having any doubt can please ask. Thank you. Unmute kar do, sir. Unmute कितने हुए?
Ask easy questions.
Hello.
Ha, ha. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir, your voice is audible.
Sir, I believe there is no query among the
Okay.
participants.
रात
Fine,
में
fine.
जाएगी, उनको बोल दिया ना, तो अंकल वो खुद ही वो करेंगे.
Okay, fine, fine, sir. I'm okay with it. Thank you very much.
We are grateful to you, sir, for sparing the time, and you have elaborated the concerns exceptionally. First of all, you have elaborated the basics. Thereafter, elaborated what further concerns could be attached with reference to the IoT. So it was very informative session. We are thankful to you for sparing your knowledge among the participants, and definitely it will be useful while practicing these concerns in real time. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a nice day to you and all the participants. Thank you.
अगला सब 10 मिनट बाद कि आगे
I, I'm disconnecting. Okay.
So participants, the next session by Professor C.H.A.S. Murthy will be handled after the gap of 15 minutes. So all are requested to join at 11:45 a.m. sharp. Thank you.
हेलो हेलो योगेश नमस्ते सर हाँ नमस्ते यही है क्या
Good morning, Murthy sir. Dear participants, I, Dr. Pankaj Bhamri, welcome you all back to the short-term training program. This is the second session on short-term training program on the title Cybersecurity Current Trends and Future Perspectives. So Professor Murthy has joined us and he will deliver the expert talk. I have the privilege to introduce Dr. Professor Murthy. So I invite my colleague, Professor Sachin Bagga, to introduce the expert of this session.
Welcome participants back for the next session. So we are very much lucky that Mr. A.S. Murthy is here for the next session. So Mr. Murthy is presently Associate Director and HOD for Information Security Services, CDEC, and has long-standing, highly productive and techno-administrative acumen for project proposal submission to the project completion and deployment, feasibility studies, requirement analysis, organization of workshops, seminars, and technical exhibitions. Sir is having a huge experience related to the cybersecurity services. His research area includes security operations and analytics, incident and forensic analysis, security analytics and protocol analysis, vulnerability analysis, system and network exploiting, penetration testing, mathematical analysis, data analytics. Sir, very much thank you for accepting our invite to be a part of our STTP. So with these words, I request Mr. Murthy to please share his knowledge with these participants. Mr. Murthy, please. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving once again opportunity to meet all of you. Where I'm sharing my screen. Share, then same PPT. I'm starting from there. Yesterday we stopped here, and okay. Before going to that open source tools, how many of you know these Nmap and Wireshark tools? So basically, I wanted to demonstrate and take these tools. I think this is from what is the time? Last 1 o'clock. Am I right? The time is 1 o'clock. No, till. Okay.
1:15.
See that how many of you? I think most of the people already experience with the TCP/IP protocol. Because this open source tools. Using open source tools, it is always good. But before going that, I would like to talk to these two tools are a beautiful tools, which I'm using from 2004 onwards, and evergreen tools. And anybody wanted to come into the cybersecurity, definitely they should be part of, they should, already those who are part of cybersecurity, they might have already doing with this, using these two tools. And also when you are coming to anything you wanted to monitor, anything you wanted to understand, or like a firewall concepts, ideas concept. So these are the best tools to test yourself. Nmap is network mapper, where any hacker is trying to scanning your networks, you may be using Nmap or look like Nmap based tools and Nmap based scripts. But that particular scanning, as a firewall administrator, you need to understand your ideas also. Like ideas definitely understand this, but I expect that you also should understand what kind of packets, how the packets are traveling. So for that understanding these packets, so maybe Wireshark supports, and most of you already know that Wireshark is a network protocol analyzer. It lets you view traffic in much detail as you want. Basically, the Wireshark is collecting the data. if the various junction points are a particular system, so that it would be definitely analyzing those packets, whether it is a scanned packets, denial of service packets, for anything else. So such packets kind of monitoring. So your IDS is required data, and that should be either Wireshark or let maybe you take it an example. TCP dump is one of the protocol like that. Client tools where junction, network junction you need to collect. So these are the tools are very much useful. So Wireshark is for basically GUI based, and a lot of overhead would be there. But when it is coming to the TCP dump, so is the dump is like X dump, where you need to understand if any packet you are seeing. That's what, if anybody is coming to cybersecurity, we insist that first you understand this, because security is an over systems, networks, when they communicating, IT, ICT communications, it's all packets. No, you need to understand those packets. So that is where, so let's say we will understand one of the technique what exactly hacker uses with this particular scanning. Okay, so TCP generally uses 6 flags. The flags indicate whether the packet is synchronization packet, acknowledgement packet, or finish packet, urgent packet, or push packet, and reset packet. And how many of you know that this TCP uses three-way handshake? So TCP three-way handshake is basically is a kind of a legitimate connectivity between a server and client. Anything you access, whether it could be a WhatsApp message, whether it could be an email message, whether it could be accessing in a web page, that all communication between a server and client and internet uses three-way handshake. It's nothing but it is sending in a synchronization packet and receiving an acknowledgement with respect to that synchronized packet, and the third handshake is again acknowledgement from the respective client or server with respect to that initiation. So that is where we should have understand that. Now full scan. So how hackers will scan? Scan uses different things, different what purpose is scans and hacker. So as we discussed it in one of the situation, hacker is always gets a what exactly does is that before attempting any kind of an attack, he tries to understand what are things are there with respect to your server. What is the server is hosting? What is your organization hosting? Web server, email server, what are other servers you are hosting? So that I can know them, I can understand them. These are the services which are hosting. These are the services maybe using some applications. That applications may be having vulnerabilities, so that the vulnerabilities could be I considered for attack your mission or your target, your thing. So that is where attacker scans the system. So the first one of the scan and the scanning techniques is three-way handshake. Full scan, which we say that. Why we say full scan? So whatever the communication, as we said, no, whether you are requesting in a web page or request sending in a mail, it always first check with that respect to target mission, that this three-way handshake, because it is fully using three-way handshake. So that's what it is full scan. Then off open. So that means this is not fully scan, only off of the scan. By the time the attacker able to know that whether port is open or not. Yani, what is the port? Port is a door, as we discussed, to enter into your system. It could be a port 80, it could be a port 21, it could be a port 25. Then stealth scan, XMS scan, X scan, there are a variety of scans are there. We will see that each individual scan, so that these open source secure tools, how they will be useful. Let me first understand this TCP communication. When server is, when your client is accessing a website or any other message, email and all, I wanted to connect to you port at 80. Whether your port 80 is available or not, that is what the synchronization message would be forwarded to server to know about that whether service is running. Before you go to the website, this is what happening. Then if server is running that port 80, that acknowledgement port would be sent to the client. Yes, I am hosting the service which is a www.cdac.in, so that you can access my page. So there is an acknowledgement would be sent it to the synchronization packet. Then there would be acknowledgement of fine. I wanted to access the page now. So that one, how many handshakes are happen? There are 3 handshakes happen. Again, I'm pressing you to that, stressing the point is that whatever the communication you are using in internet, this is the must. Without this, they can't access any kind of service, whether it could be a database, whether it could be a WhatsApp message, it could be an email, whether it could be anything else in TCP/IP communication. TCP 3-way handshake must. So after these 3 handshakes, connection is established. Am I right? Then the data would be forwarded. Request of the web page details would be forwarded with the flags, push and acknowledgement. Then now coming to the closing, how they close it. So after accessing a page, either you will close in a web browser or otherwise server itself, because you forgotten to close that web browser, the server itself is maybe simply closing that by sending in a FIN packet. In this case, that we will look into that, the FIN packet was sent to by client itself to the server. With respect to that FIN flag, there is an acknowledgement would be sending in a FIN packet. With respect to that FIN, there is acknowledgement. Yes, you wanted to close now. I am sending this acknowledgement. Then server also sends another FIN packet further to this particular server and forward that this one. Then finally, the client gets an acknowledgement that would be forwarded to server, received to server, where it could be in a finished one. In case if either is sending at a time reset flag, the connection would be closed as in a abnormally. So this is what legitimate communication between 2 servers, between 2 client, server and client. So again, I'm trusting the point. Whatever the communication you are using internet, this process is must. Initiation and closing. The data, which data in between push and acknowledgement, what is the data you requested, that request only will come, that will be transferred in the data transfer. Otherwise, whatever communication you do that, this communication 3-way handshake and 4-way handshake must. Sorry. Now we'll see TCP connect scan. What is the TCP connect scan? The client is sending in a synchronization packet first, whether the port is available or not. Suppose in this case, attacker will send in a to that your available IP address, so and so IP address IP and so and so port. Whether your organization is hosting it or not, that only will look into that. The client is sending in a synchronization packet. Then if port is available in the server, it would be sending acknowledgement with respect to the SYNAC packet to the back to the client. What client, what attacker is understands, if he receives that, synchronization and acknowledgement packet is working on. Synchronization and acknowledgement packet means that port is on. In case instead of SYN acknowledgement, if the reset packet is coming, then what does that mean? That port may be closed or that port might be filtered. Because of that, in between there is a firewall is there, it is not giving the answer. So that anyway is a further when you have a firewall and all. So otherwise, then what is exactly do that whatever the message, if reset comes, there is no automatically it would be reset. So, but if acknowledgement comes from the second handshake, the client will be sending to the third acknowledgement. So that 3-way handshake, which is full 3-way handshake is happening. But what is that? It is only sent for the reason for whether port is available or not. But now the port is not there. Sorry, the port is whether port is available or port is not available. By the time I know. So that's what is that? There is no need to transfer any data. So that's why it would be sending the reset packet and the connection is closing. Okay, so that is where this is a full scan. If anything you wanted to run, there are possibility of running of this kind of. You have to understand this concept. you start Wireshark tool and GenMap in Windows or Nmap in Linux and do the scan. In case if I do that, this is where I did. I started background mein Wireshark I have done. Then I said that Nmap IPN small s capital T, that IP address whom which you are talking about, and what are the ports I would like to know, that port 80 and 23. That is what the command I have given. IPN S capital T is full scan. Then I may get the output 23 and 80. So whether is really it is happening, that whatever we discussed, so that I collected the backend may. So this is basically about you look into that all green things, green wala. So this is 90.88 one is requested to 90.7 within a synchronization packet. Synchronization packet, the sequence number is 0. Then there is an acknowledgement packet came from the respect to 90.7 to the 90.8 SYNAC with respect to that sequence 0 acknowledgement. And also because of the sequence 0, the 90.8 given an acknowledgement with sequence 0 plus 1 sequence 1, and acknowledgement with this particular sync packet 0 sequence 0. So see, acknowledgement is here is sequence plus sequence 1, and here for sequence with sequence 1. So that is where the TCP handshake, full handshake is happened. By this time, what is that? When he gets the acknowledgement, definitely the port is opened. But if you look into the telnet, that immediately got a reset packet. When he made it as a telnet synchronization, he got a reset, so that that port is filtered. So that is where I'm able to understand. The acknowledgement scan, if you look into that acknowledgement scan, so the client is sending an acknowledgement scan. So that server, when it is received, see, any server in general, as we discussed, three-way handshake must. When three-way handshake is must, the first packet should be always synchronization packet. But here what happens, I am received acknowledgement packet. Why I am getting an acknowledgement packet? I think this is something wrong, so that I never respond. The port is open. But at that time, what client understands? Oh, within the specified time, I am not getting any response from server. That it means there could be this port is available, because I have sent acknowledgement scan, acknowledgement as a first packet. That's what server is not responding. Why things like that? Because the port is closed, you should have gotten a reset packet. You didn't receive anything reset packet, because server thinks that what is there, if you acknowledge packet, whether he's sending or some other packet is sending, when I am not running that port, why should I bother? So that immediately it will reset the connection. So when the connection is reset, port is not available. When the connection is not having any response, port is open. Because of that, acknowledgement packet is sending in the first time, that is called as an XScan. That would be done with -s capital A IP address port 8023. And if you look into that output of XScan, so how it is there? So this is the basically when it is TCP and telnet sequence acknowledgement, this is the packet which you can see that. So that's what it is very useful, these tools both together in network security, both Wireshark and all. Now coming to discussing about hop open. So here is what the three-way handshake is happening. But however, so if in case of this SYN acknowledgement, generally this is the acknowledgement fine, no? Once by this time itself, I'm able to know that whether the port is closed or port is open. So then immediately I will send the, instead of acknowledgement, reset packet here, third handshake may. Once I send reset packet, that is called hop open. In the previously open full scan may, what is exactly? So after receiving the third packet and sending the acknowledgement, then only I'm sending the reset packet. But when it is coming to here, of open, instead of acknowledgement, I'm sending in third handshake itself reset. So this kind of attacks by fourth handshake unnecessarily. So that's what in third handshake only I'm closing. So that is what it is called off open. So how do this? This also called sin scan, off open scan. So that's what capital yes. And now XMS scan. XMS scan is nothing but any one of the packet from pin, urgent, push. When I am sending as a first packet, and if no response, port is open. Either reset or reset acknowledgement is coming, port is closed. If you require, if you want to discuss more about the XMS scan, you can refer RFC 793 document. So how do you use that XMS? Capital X. So from capital X, so this is the output you'll get. Now null scan. Null scan means there is no such flag is setting. I am not sending any flag. Either it could be a sin acknowledgement or whatever that XMS scans. I don't want you to set any flag. How do you do this? The same thing, but however, if no response from the server, port is open. If I'm getting a reset acknowledgement, then port is closed. That it would be set is the sin capital N, capital S, sorry, hyphen S, capital N. So that is called null scan. And even though you can send the UDP packets, but the UDP packets are a little bit less reliable than that it is coming from that source or not. But maybe limited value के लिए हम कर सकते हैं UDP scanning. But however, if a reliable connectivity, you have to always use TCP scan. So what is the command? Nmap -s capital U, and you will get these packets using Wireshark. And ICMP scan, where you generally use ping, and ping is uses in the background ICMP protocol. It generally does for scanning a network. Live host maybe respond. Usually trigger IDS alerts, definitely, because it is scanning each and every point. Somewhere IDS is there, then definitely IDS will give this one. Most network scans uses ICMP scanning. So what is that ICMP scan? It's nothing but ping scan. It will send ICMP echo rest, and you will get IPM reply. So this is what basically how we will do that in particularly. So if required, we can see that how these things works also. Let's say we use Wireshark. I'm using Windows machine, so that's what Wireshark. Then I have to say yes. And also I required Nmap. So I don't have Nmap because I'm using GenMap because of Windows. So GenMap is Nmap's version. So this is what tool I'm doing. So not only that, I can give www.microsoft. Also, it's not only IP address. I can use Microsoft.com also. But however, when you are starting Microsoft before, let me start that Ethernet where capture start packets. Yes. Okay. Then I'm starting the packets. Of course, I'll get a lot of packets. If you look into that, packets are continuously because I'm part of CDAC network. And then now we will go to the GenMap, now Microsoft.com. I'll do that intent scan initially. I'm doing intent scan. It's not happening. Intent scan all TCP ports. Scan. Yes. So it is trying to do all the Nmap dog intent scan on a TCP IP. See that there is an IP address I got 23.32.177.2.6.36. Okay. So that is Microsoft IP address is having this IP address, and there are 4 ports. Microsoft.com. So, and it is also scanning all this one possible all ports. And now since scan it is running, and then about 10.92% has been done. So did a Discord open port 80, Discord port 443, that means is the HTTP is also running, HTTPS also running. Okay, then meanwhile parallelly, if you look into that, those packets are continuously, because you see that 23 packets are continuously running. Suppose let's say I wanted to filter IP address or equal to, and whatever the port, if you're looking filtering these packets, see, because since scan is happening, every port is happening. So I wanted to stop at this point for understanding more capture. I'm stopping packets. So that's what, if you look into that, so definitely there would be a scene packet. See, it's a sending continuously scene packet. It was sent scene packet from this 10.244.0250, which is my mission. Destination is 23, this TCP, and my port is open, random open, and checking for port 3. The same system is open, this the port 80 also. And then other scans David is taking, you see that from then onwards. So SYN packet, there is an acknowledgement packet, acknowledgement scan has happened, and there is a reset. This came from so and so packet. If you look into that, this particular thing, that frame, that SYN packet, if you see that. So what is the transmission codal? This is the source port 443, sequence number, and what is the SYN scan? This is the SYN packet, it was entered, this one. In case, suppose if people are giving like this is the entire thing. If anybody gives this packet, whether you identified what kind of packet, if you are identified, you are good at, you started good way in the network security. Let's take example. So how I identify this? This is the packet. This is the TCP packet. But otherwise, the first 6 are that. What is that? Destination address, destination MAC, my MAC. Sorry, the destination means Microsoft MAC, and the next 6 is that my MAC, and this is the TCP protocol. From here onwards, IP protocol running, because 080 is the IP protocol. From here, IP version 4, and length is 20 bytes. So that is what giving the information, and this is the network address, like that. So if you look into that, each one you can see, like say that this is the destination address, this is the local address, destination address, this is the source. So both are, so he is using HP card, Microsoft, that machine, whichever using HP server. In the HP server hardware, there could be any vulnerabilities are there. I got this information. So information gathering can be done so many ways. Okay, this is where that packets are collected. And coming back to this particular, you can see that. So initiating this, continuously doing, and ports still is not completed. So it's doing, and until you stop, so it's taking longer time, because this is the number of 1,265,000. This is what we are running. So that is where. So until we will look into that topology and host network point, and once it is completed, we can discuss. So still scan has been done, but it is also trying DNS resolution, and etc. See this how the tools, and when you are part of security and you are knowing about that how your systems are working, what are the kind of ports are open. It's not only always thinking of like in a hacker what exactly does. It's always you should do that, because when he's doing definitely how he does, if you learn that, if you also doing the same thing, you will know about your mission clearly, so that you can take the respective security things. Now you see that there is a host www, number of ports are open 843. Topology, if you see that how it is connected, uh, oh, it's not moving. So this is the is proxy at hyderabad.cdac.in to www Microsoft. The reach is like that, and host details if you see that, and you will little bit surprised and know what is this website, www.microsoft.com. What is the host they were hosting? Where here they are hosting? OpenBSD 4.0, which is based on the open source Linux. Am I right? Ports used, but accuracy is 85% is maybe, but definitely that is 85% is it is a Linux machine only. By being in Microsoft servers, so they were using this one. So OpenBSD 4.5 generation 85% is the TCP sequence is difficult, is good luck. Okay, these are all other things. So otherwise, okay, you think that how it is possible, but this space is coming through a kind of an content development network. Say, who's hosting this content? This guy, name type A3A23 acmytechnologies.com. The pointer is attached to this. Maybe this cache is stored in this attack. So that's what it is saying, that 85% is sure, because that whatever the page is coming from this server, pointer is there, because the when is using region, the all the pages which are particular region using the cache, they will keep it, so that in that cache that would be done. So look into that exactly. So identifying a machine, even though it is a Microsoft, we expect that Microsoft Windows operating system they will use it, but however you understood that it is showing as OpenBSD, but OpenBSD 4.0 is correct or not, we do not know. So that's what. So maybe there could be a reason. The host names, there are two host names are there. Even the user is Microsoft.com. That cache space is coming. My whatever I am accessing, that on behalf of Microsoft, this machine is contacting. That is where we need to look about that. And what kind of scans we have done? This is the scan you done. So anybody is wanted to do further, you wanted to know, you can also see that 1 to minus p port, there is no required of port 80 443 www.cdac.in, we'll say 443 t4 www. Google. So this is also another we are looking about that. This way we do generally. If you have any doubts, you can post in chat, so that it will be easy for me to make easy for me to look about that your chat box and answer the questions. Okay. So let I move further. What is exactly open source tool? This is the for understanding purpose how open source tools could be used. So for smaller scanning of network. Okay. Shall I move further to so these many scans are there. Now coming to that. So IBM buys Red Hat. Why IBM buying a Red Hat? Red Hat is an 100% open source company. See, if IBM feels IBM can download all their code for free and use it by having with their experts. But still, IBM is investing 34 billion deal by adding as a Linux distributor. So this is where we have to look into that, how these people will do this one. So open source facilitators are, see, I'm just, IBM is buying, why basically is doing this is that IBM is the one of the a good resource supporter for the open source in the early or even the late 90s. Actually, open source movement came because of the way they supported IBM through various people, various companies like facilitators. So some of the open source facilitators with respect to the security, I'm explaining here because of that. See that GitHub nowadays, how they are supporting all the code they were supporting and exchanging this code. And NIST is National Institute of Standards and Technology. The basically is using for the purpose of all standards compliances with respect to that. Source pose, the basically the hosting the entire source code now. GitHub source pose is also becoming kind of in a slow. It would be becoming as in a commercial. GitHub is supporting a lot. Twitter and all, like in a, Twitter is supporting a lot that the way that small application can be hosted internet very easily, and they were supporting into backend may. So how easily you can share the data. Offensive security majorly looking about the offensive security capacity building. OSSEC is one of the things like looking about that all continuous monitoring security operation tools like OWS Open Web Application Security is taking care of all the vulnerabilities with respect like that. So everybody is supporting because when it is facilitator means we all think that we just download the open source things. But what exactly you are giving back? We are always takers, taking and using and leaving. But if somebody is giving this software as a free or open as a product, if the same thing, if you wanted to invest some money, how do you feel like that? Because of they are using, giving is a free, that's what we are using, or because they are benefiting us and you are using it for your part of research or your part of lab. So that is where you are using because the easy business way. But even the same thing, if you are buying in a commercial tool, you expect a lot of support and everything. Am I right? Because even though they were not giving, you continue to use this commercial because of you wanted to invest some budget. Is it? Not generally like that. Because of we don't have budget, so that's what we are taking open source and the things which we can do with open source that might be sufficient for your students or sufficient for your research paper. But if you look into the background for releasing a product like a Microsoft Office, the same efforts are required for the LibreOffice also. Microsoft Office has recruited thousands of people and continuously developing and updating. But LibreOffice also might have done the same thing. Then if they are doing same thing, why Microsoft Office, Microsoft people are taking 1,000 people at one place and doing this thing, and LibreOffice can't do that. In case such kind of 1,000 people are not required for LibreOffice, so then why, what is exactly Microsoft doing? It's only business. So if you think like this, there is a lot of background support is required. Somebody should support as a manager, as a collaborator, as a team, as a tester. All these people are not sitting at one place. Because of the COVID-19, we all meet together wherever we are there. But this open source movement is adopted COVID-19 situation from right from beginning itself in 90s. No member can meet. If what you can do, what you can support, design idea, you give me. I am the best developer. I'll do that developing and giving immediately to the others to test. This is what the thinking process. But somebody should be required to coordinate all members who are there part of this cloud source and do these things. So that is where open source facilitators are very important to do, build the thing. What is exactly open source? Open source software refers to the software that collaboratively developed, collaboratively tested, collaboratively improved. Moreover, it should be distributed with the idea that the must be shared with others, ensuring an open forum collaboration. So anything, whatever that you have, you can use it freely and you can give it to anybody without any doubt. That is what the environment they were expecting. Now, coming to the cyber security, open source software for cyber security means there is straightway we can say that alternative to commercial tools. Why? Because commercial to these many tools are there. If you wanted to install all these tools in your whatever we discussed about the architecture looks like maybe different way. But however, so you can't buy each and every tool of what they mentioned it in each and every place because there is huge investment is required. Why you need to use? So because to protect something you have. But as a student or as a faculty, why we should do buy all these tools? So when the equivalent open source tools are giving readily planning to give it to you. So let's take cybersecurity attacks. We can classify the cyberspace into either in offensive mode and defensive mode, or both in general. So in offensive mode, what exactly you do? The reconnaissance, nothing but reconnaissance is collecting the information gathering. Once you collected information gathering, whether it is works or not, right? I think cdac.in website is opened. They were giving that open port 80. So, but port whether they hosted this website on port 80 or port 8081, I need to do scanning. So whatever I collected, I'm confirming through scanning. So that information gathering scanning is called as a reconnaissance. And you understand there is a remote system is vulnerable. When the remote system is vulnerable, how to go there? You need to weaponize. You need to make a tool. So for every vulnerability, there could be an exploit. But what is the need? What is the way if you have exploit and remotely vulnerability is there? When remote vulnerability is there, when you have exploit, and if both are at different places, is it possible to use that particular thing? It's not possible because this exploit should go there in that system, should sit and give a connection back to that. So you need to deliver that exploit. Once the exploit is sitting in the remote system with respect to one particular server, then that could be taken as a control, execute, or whatever command and control situation could be created and continuously maintained. So this is what offensive mode. When it is a defensive mode, see information gathering, recognition, weaponized delivery, exploit may not be there, but identify and proof of concept, all these four things can be integrated for protecting, or in the defensive mode for other track where you need to respond with respect to the various incidents that are happening in the network. But before responding itself, if you could have done the protection and all, definitely you can do that. If you can secure your devices. So that is where does cyber defense stop and where does cyber offense begins, that we need to be understand. Sorry, by having continuous checking of your devices as hacker does, identifying, collection, information collecting, and scanning your track only, scanning what are your servers. Instead of incidentally, if you forgotten one port is opened, that port is opened or not, only when you do scanning only it would be available. So general people is generally we can define it. This is also called protective and proactive and versus reactive, where we discussed yesterday on proactive, where proactively preventive maintenance you will do it. Reactive is that once incident happens, you start incident and forensic analysis, so that what are the things, how the hackers are came into your picture. So you may be a user and using this is what a simple network which will be at home. Maybe you think that in home it is not part of as much as secure required, but however in office it may be required. But in home also you required, because you may also having a web page which you regularly update, like a blog and all, and you may also do financial transaction through your Wi-Fi router. You may also do submit researches in your publication. You may be also submitting a lot on Git repositories. So as an individual, as a faculty, as a researcher, definitely you do all the things. So you need to secure yourself. Okay. So it's not like that you cannot differentiate. Home network is not that much serious and the other network is serious. The data is data. Whatever the data, yesterday China, we learned they are collecting. Whether you give permission or not permission, no permission, yes permission, China is collecting the data from you. There is no need to worry about that. Only worry about that how to stop this data. China never worries about that. And if you are part of campus network, you can look about that. There are number one device, layer one devices, layer two devices, layer three devices, layer four devices. Layer one devices, as you know that it is a physical devices, physical layer. It doesn't know anything addressing system and logical addressing and all physical addressing. It's only for boosting the signals from one network to other network to extend network, because your technologies are limited to some area. If you wanted to further transfer the packets, you required repeaters. They are all physical devices, which is in like in hubs and all. Layer two devices, which are required. Some intelligence is would be added, like in MAC addressing, filtering MAC addressing, as like layer three devices with IP address. Layer four devices controlling the user, because it's most on applications, controlling the user, filtering the user capabilities. And this is what typical architecture which we generally look into that. So if the one department, department two, they would be the part of that, and that would be divided with gateway firewall with DMG. DMG is only for hosting the public servers. If any user is coming and hosting the so-and-so server, it would be limited to DMG, not entering into the site, so that you can protect your internal networks. Even the internal person is wanted to access your web server, he can come through DG gateway firewall and access, because most of the 70% attacks are happening internally. Because why? You are might be tightened with various security products and not entering anybody. But a user can directly interact and send an email, where these people are also allowing email. Through email attachment, they can make you send an antivirus, so like in a malware. Through this malware, you can connect directly, not coming through this, because you won't allow this side. So that's what you can attack in a client. And these addressing systems are majorly two addressing system. One is MAC address. When the two devices are talking to each other, they're P2P devices. When one network to another network, it is an IP address. See, as when you scan the port, you have seen TCP port and TCP port 443, because they are the web servers. If that Microsoft server is talking, having in a database or some application, Apache Tomcat application, that would be there. And background, there is may be Oracle server, SQL server, or mainframe, or MS Microsoft Cycle, or MySQL server, SQL server. All these are servers based on the applications and demand if you have, and generally host in the firewall. But you would different zones you create, DMGs create in such a way that one to one it will go. That your application is having database and application, and that does mean that it is only one firewall sufficient. Logically, you required, when somebody is coming to the web page, whether he should allow to the database and access the database or not, that kind of mechanisms you need to implement at system and database level, and even the data center level also. So cybersecurity tools are required attacker point of view, how this attack can be beat and access something. Defense point of view, there are tools are required to support our activity, because you cannot keep as many as firewalls. It's a very costly affair. You wanted to keep it basically on understanding of what kind of tools, because let's say you are hosting the firewalls, that firewall, these many firewalls you cannot invest, so that you can use open source based firewalls at some places. That is what my point. and look at all these tools. If you are integrated with this, that whatever that security which we have previously now became this much. Why we use open source security tools? Open source programs give you complete freedom without any shady terms and condition. If you are using Microsoft Office, what happens exactly? That Office is limited to a desktop. You cannot load into other machines. If you load into that, is privacy, and you are against that whatever the agreement you have done with Microsoft. But open source is not like that. There is no such shady terms and condition. Anywhere you can install, anywhere you can distribute, whatever you want you can use it, however you want you can use it. Nobody bothers about that. In case if your college is using Microsoft proprietary software and Microsoft knows, they will charge 100 times of as per the according to their legislation. But whether that legislation supports by in India or not, we don't know. Code is readily available. That is the second point. See, when it is coming to the security problems, and I remember 2011, there is no official information to map support a particular patch. But through that patch, anybody can hack that Windows system because of that is browser-based attacks. So they recommended not to use IE. So at those days only, the growth of the Firefox and the Google Chrome grown. And second one is no spying eyes. Means, see, suppose let's say if I'm installing a monitoring tool and you are collecting your information, but this machine, when you connect the internet, that whatever you collected reports, everything would be forwarded, everything would be forwarded to other machines. So that is where the basically we look into that open source tools, because they are not nobody spying on us. Let's say I have a recently audited one organization where they implemented a tool. That tool, when they ask that what is the tool is, how it is updating, how it is monitoring. No sir, anything happens, the response we have given 3 years contract. Okay, after 3 years contract, he might have to go and another person may come. By the time he is stealing every data, whatever you do that. Maybe this is the tool which is only to collect the details data which somebody is accessing. But however, that is also danger, so that you need to take an approval from respective companies who are attached with you. Of course, cost is one of the reasons why security professionals spend, because any product tool, if you take it within minimum so and so lakhs only, not lesser than that. And till now they are used as a free. Suddenly, if you ask that to pay, nobody pays. So this is will be there rather than not only rather than facing that such kind of situation, there could be a revelation. There could be a fight can start for with the reasons itself. Of course, cost is one of the why security professionals spend say some of their time working with open source security tools to get into the take into the dirty and see that how the things can happen. Whether for learning, experimenting, dealing with new or unique situation, deploying or deploying on a production basis, security professionals look at open source security, and because software has a vulnerability part of their toolkit. And remember, in case some cases, open source tools are better than commercial tools, because all these commercial tools evolved from once upon open source. So they started like an open source tools company supporting, and once they get the name and goodness of the tool, they slowly try to commercialization. Most of the products which I have accessed during the last decade are now becoming as a commercial. Now we look about some of the anti-malware tools, which are basically, so this is one of the tools. ClamAV is a powerful antivirus scanner focused towards integration with mail servers for attachment scanning. It also provides a flexible and scalable multi-threaded daemon, a command line scanner, and a tool for automatic updating via the internet. Clam antivirus is based on a shared library distributed with the Clam antivirus package, which you can use with your own software. You can integrate it, like you have ideas, you have IPS, you have firewall, you can easily integrate it. But most importantly, the virus data is kept up to date. But now the ClamWave was part of acquired by SourceFair in 2007, but still it is available for the free, and code is also available. ClamWin is a pre-antivirus, is used by more than 6 lakhs users worldwide in a daily basis. It comes with an installer and open source code. You may download and use it absolutely free of charge. Its feature like an eye detection rates for viruses and so on are very good. And you can scan a scheduler at a particular time, and automatic downloads of regularly updated virus database, and standalone virus scanner and right-click menu integration to Microsoft Windows Explorer. And you can add as an add-in to the Microsoft Outlook so that you scan. That basically that previous one and this one is developed for the scanning of email attachment. But once if it is doing email attachment, what kind of email attachments we use it majorly, Word, PPT, so and so. If that also can be done without the email also. So that is where these products are becoming as much as famous nowadays. So virus total is one of the good for analyze suspicious files and URLs to detect types of malware. Anything when you are going in a website that URL is looking like a suspicious, you can copy and test it and do that. Even though other than that also, if you want to add a file, you can add a file. Suppose let's say your file is not encrypted because of the ransomware, they are not able to take clean that one, then you can upload and see that it may clean it. So that is where virus total is a very good tool for scanning the tool. But only one thing, one have a doubt that if you have a content document, the document is posted to the virus total, like how Google behind us, like a Hachdog, for every moment they were recording us and they were posting in the internet. Of course, that could be in a private channel only, but posting could when a Google able to do do anything kind of thing. Okay, so in the similar way, virus total may be also collecting the file after cleaning. That also you look into about that, so that this virus total will be very much helping. In case if you are doing some research in threat hunting, threat intelligence, these would be also can take in it, but it's only for trial period only. Once trial period is over, then basically you have to buy this commercial. If somebody is doing intelligence and threat hunting kind of research areas, you can try for some time on this virus total. So then malware bytes is basically it's a kind of anti-malware is malware scanner. The others claim to use a variety of technologies to find malware undetected by other malware. So basically, we are saying for Windows, but they were now released for Mac, Android, iOS, and even though that is for privacy also. So malware bytes is also browse guard is there, where that also one of the simple good tool which checks about the security about your browser. That is one tool integrated with that. So it is also available for any operating system. You can utilize it. It's saying the trial period, but they never stop this. Now coming to the firewalls. Well, firewalls is basically firewall is two types. One is hardware firewalls and software firewall. Where hardware firewall, software firewall is no difference between, because software firewall you should install in one of the machine like Windows or Linux. But hardware firewall will come by default as a hardware with their own inspect engine or their own some kind of an interface where that will built by both and Windows and both it can be built. Is it audible? this creates a separation between public networks and private networks by examining network traffic and allowing only specific traffic to pass between the untrusted and trusted networks. Trusted network is what? Your private network. You are connected to the private network where all members, all machines which you are part of your organization, you are maybe trusting. But when it is untrusted network, is nothing but is the public network. So that's what protected network is like in your private network, your organization network, where public network like internet is called as an insecure networks. So that it always checks about that. When it is coming to the IP tables, all in next it will support IP tables, which is essentially a truth table of the sort of database. It uses backend net filter algorithm. So most of you people are already working on IP tables. But basically, if you look into that further, there is a contract is an extension of IP tables. Contract is essentially tracks the connection for all network sessions. Where IP table is basically about only looking about IP address based third layer filtering only. But when it is contract, it can also track about the transport layer where the port scanning and session scanning also can be done. So those who are using IP table, if you add it to contract, it's kind of in a fourth layer gateway devices. It further tries to relate packets that formed a sensible and successful connection, and both layer 3 and layer 4 features can be implemented through by integrating the contract. But if you look into that third part, where net filter is a powerful packet filter implemented in the standard Linux kernel. That user space IP tables tool is used for configuration. It now supports packet filtering is all kinds of network address and port translation. What is network address and port translation? See, basically the address IP address depletion. You have a IP address, you know very well about there is a 2 power 32 IP addresses are only available for IP version 4 address. In case if you are because if you are using all IP addresses, what happens? So these IP addresses are not sufficient, and you cannot add as many as IP addresses for accessing the internet. Of course, they bought a kind of a system that the IP version 6 that is the different. But however, this depletion of the IP addresses can be solved through private IP addressing and public IP addressing. Private IP address means you can give, like you are LAN 1, LAN 2, LAN 3, but all LAN 1, LAN 2, LAN 3 having the same IP addressing. But when you are connecting to the internet, you only need one public IP address. You may ask me like that, in the early morning, 9 o'clock in an organization, everybody comes and checks the email. And everybody would be connected to a particular email where one email server they are going in the organization. How in a one public IP address will understand all the things? Because they're based on the port address. Let's say there are 100 members are there, 100 different Windows machines are using. At a time they are accessing www.yourorganization.com. So each browser is having its own port and IP, private IP. When it is coming to the server at my place, so that I will attach in a public IP, and with respect to your port, another I attach in a port, and that would be sent as a source packet from the firewall to the particular website. So that website, when written it is because it created a table, nothing but NAT. So private IP address and with private IP port number, the private IP address, I am attached, I am forwarding to this port 1 and port 2. So it is a trap changing the IP address, network address changing, and translation can be done and further forwarded till it gets completes the connection. It would be noted into the firewall record so that NAT will be there. Port address also. So let's say you are the user, you should go through me like I am the gateway to forward getting the internet. So you use some port. That port, according to port, my port would be attached in a table and forward the request. When request came with respect to the port, so this port is attached to your port. So that's what it can be delivered back. So that way, this would be working nicely. Net filter is IP filter background is net filter itself. It includes many different modules for handling unruly protocols such as FTP. So netfilter.org project, this is the project. If somebody is doing some research in this, so like IP tables, NFT tables, these tables could be, these are the projects are working on. If you are also part of the project, you can post here and you can take the expertise, the support, and you can develop. If you are writing papers on firewalls, this kind of this website is very nice website. Go to netfilter.org and access all the things. So the other firewall, Open BSD PF sensor. See whether you believe it or not. So one of the data center, state data center, last 4 years, they were using this Open BSD for PF. Because I showed one architecture, when you are coming to that port 80, port 43, when it is forwarding to application server, so there is a between another firewall. From there, another firewall, like accessing the databases, application server to databases, variety of databases, there are set of firewalls. When you segregated with so many firewalls, if you wanted to buy those many firewalls, it would be difficult for any organization. So initially they bought a firewall for 2 years, commercial firewall, and they kept a gateway. But accessing in between, they were used at OpenBSD PF. And they believed that this OpenBSD PF with their whatever the expertise they got, and they believed that this OpenBSD PF is working better than that commercial software they taken. Then they didn't renew it. The last 2 years they were using, and with the whatever the cost they were keeping, and they bought 2 or 3 good people, and they were adding all rules and open source rules and all. And first 1 year they were beautifully designed and using. So you can access this from openbsd.org and you can download it from itself. Siphon is an open source VPN project, and this pandemic area, Siphon is useful, very useful. It's a circumvention tool from Siphon Inc. that utilizes VPN, SSH, and HTTP proxy, secure proxy technology, and to provide you with uncensored access to internet connect. Suppose in case if you wanted to access something else like a dark web and all, you require VPN, otherwise somebody can scan you. Now coming to file and disk encryption tools. So Tripwire file encryption tool. Tripwire is one of the good tool, but however it is going to the commercial. That's what I didn't much added here, but still it is available. So fully, otherwise last 2 years they became slowly this tool. What exactly does? Suppose anything you are updating in Filer, somebody is updated in Filer, it immediately tells that what is the difference between the previous file and this file. What you updated, how many words updated, how many things are updated, who updated, at what time updated, everything would be there with respect to the file. TrueCrypt is a disk encryption tool. You are the person using a lot of data, you want to encrypt, or you want to encrypt your disk, entire disk, so that somebody cannot access. So it's a great open source tool which serves the purpose of disk encryption and used to encrypt the disk volumes to keep data safe from physical theft by attackers. And on the fly, once you just copy it, automatically it would be encrypted. Only thing is that the device should be TrueCrypt based. Intrusion detection systems. See, intrusions, there are a lot of attacks will happen. And these attacks could be simple attacks or critical attacks. So, but all this can be considered the insider intrusions. And you didn't give any kind of an access, but they were trying to that access by using different techniques. Such kind of techniques you should be identified. Like whatever we have seen, we have seen that scanning of the techniques. If somebody is doing scanning, how do you find it out? Manually doing everything is good. You can understand immediately collecting 2 or 3 sample packets. Yes, this DOS denial of service attack is happening, or somebody is scanning. Such kind of things you can immediately tell that. But continuously you want to do that, intrusion detection systems are required. Intrusion detection systems are two types. One is HIDS, host intrusion detection system, the network intrusion detection system. And there is no architecture changes. The host detection system, you may be data collector, you are hosting at that particular collector, but analyzing and management system, you should have a different two components for both intrusion detection system. The major difference is that in the host intrusion detection system, it would be only from host only you are collecting the data. But when it is coming to the network, you may be collecting the data from the various junction points which are critical to you may be collecting at a time. So that is the only the difference between host IDS and intrusion network IDS. And SNOT is one of the beautiful tool for this Excel set traffic analysis, packet logging on IP networks, and detects thousands of worms, vulnerability exploit, and most of the commercial IDSs which are evolved, that would be from SNOT itself. 90% of the IDS, commercial ideas, they were taken SNOT database, SNOT code. Without that is not possible. So this is basically the command liner. But however, if you wanted to integrate the GUI, you can use download basic analysis and security engine. And it is very sorry to say that it is also becoming as a commercial day by day. Of course, 30-day delay period updates will come for open source, but commercial 30 days delay, you need to take a license. And along with that, SNOT OSSEC HIDS is another performs another IDS, which basically useful for the host kind of things. And it will integrate checking of that system, rootkit, any rootkits detections are there, time-based alerting mechanism, log analysis of all the activities would be done. It is generally called as a security event manager or security incident manager solution, and it's a powerful log analysis engine. And most of the ISPs, universities, and data centers are running OSSEC HIDS. And NogIOS is a very beautiful tool. In case if you have a number of systems and whether the systems are how much they are occupied with respect to the processor, with respect to the RAM, and that available RAM process can be transferred to any other system. This is what the tool. And the server monitoring tool is made easy in NogIOS because so we used to have during the period of 2005 to 2010 or even the 2012 13. So basically a kind of a grid-based systems and 100 networks together, and scanning all and servers at different places at one place is very difficult. The NogIOS which we implemented and able to do that and happily managed that project. OSIM is the Allen word. OSIM stands for Open Source Security Information Management, to provide a comprehensive, detailed view of compilation, total compilation tools, which when working together for system and security administrator. And beauty is that OSIM incorporates several other tools, including NogIOS and OSSEC HIDS. So if you are implementing this, there is no need to download again that NogIOS and OSSEC HIDS. Squill is a network security analyst के लिए. It's built by them only. It's an initiative GUI that real-time event, session data, and raw packet captures facilitates the practice of network security monitoring and event-driven analysis. These things would be done through this. HoneyD is a small daemon that creates virtual hosts on a network. The host can be configured to run arbitrary services and their TCP. That means this HoneyD is automatically creates the kind of a virtual host look like your website with vulnerabilities, so that attackers can be attracted through that kind of honey and they try to come and do access. So that you can understand them how they are doing. But whether it is illegal or not, that is what we are looking into that. So there are supported honey tools like ARP domain, NTTL scan, honey NDSum is a log analyzer, honeycomb is a plugin that can be used to automatically generate significance for network intrusion detection like SNOT. So that means you can integrate such kind of tools with this one. NEV is another type of log enhanced tool for NEV. So you may be doing a lot of reverse engineering programs, reverse engineering techniques at your place, because malware reverse engineering is one of the prominent area for researchers and students to analyze the wrong tools. And you require a set of tools like debuggers, now snoopers, then assemblers, disassemblers. Yara was one of the malware research and detection primary tool which is used. Valgrind is the programming for memory debugging and memory leak, etc. So, so this is malicious traffic, malware attacks. To identify them, these tools are very important, and you can download it. And exploit tools, editing and assessment, open source exploit. The Metasploit is one of the beautiful tool where it is having the let of set of vulnerabilities and proof of concepts, exploits, payloads, everything would be there, and it is one of the beautiful tool where which we have. And W3F is a web application attack and audit framework to create a framework to help you secure your web applications by finding and exploiting all web application vulnerabilities, and developed using Python and to be used. Like how this tool, previous tool, Metasploit, only for web application. Metasploit for both web application networks, IoT, all devices, but W3F is only for the website purpose. Similarly, SQL map for the databases, database fingerprinting, accessing underlying file system, and automating the process of detecting and exploiting SQL injections flaws. So where it will trying to connect the respective database, uh, and you let me check all heuristic test shows that get parameter ID might be injectable. Such kind of vulnerabilities identifying SQL map. And SET is social engineering toolkit incorporates many useful tools that whatever that let's say look like website you wanted to create it. How do you create the look like website? There is a tool is there. That tool would be implemented in that way. The main purpose of SET is to automate and improve on many of the social engineering attacks out there. So automatically generate exploit hiding web pages and email messages to create, like you may be useful, you may be getting in emails from banks and all. Such kind of create and spook the people, this would be done. SQL Ninja is exploits web application that use Microsoft SQL Server as a database backend. It focuses on getting in running well on the remote host. Basically, it's the Microsoft SQL Server, where the previous one will work for both. Tradis is that when you are working as a team, penetration testing team or auditing team, to share knowledge each other in a particular target host fingerprinting, the Tradis tool would be useful. Of course, this could be integrated plugins through Nmap, Bursode, or Nikto, such kind of tools also. And free and open source tools, security editing and forensic. So Kali is one of the, see anybody starting the security, how we recommend Wireshark and Nmap. So Kali is also the tool subset which we use it. Kali is the name which we are given as how to use our goddess, but I don't know whether the because of the because we Indians adapting Indian god name, but it is actually not for that. You can, there is no need to install this Kali. You can use any USB drive and start that text, or either you can use a live CD. You can otherwise, if you no chance of this both, you can install it. You can install it as a VM, VirtualBox, image. There are a lot of tools are there. So whatever that exploit offensive program which collect the information gathering, scanning, web application system, exploit tools, and snooping, maintaining access, reverse engineering, a lot of tools are available. So these many tools are available. OpenVAS is one of the beautiful vulnerability scanner, fork of the open source Nessus tool that became commercial in 2005. Uses a lot of tools to check service and creates a clean report. So web-based vulnerability assessment tool, and it's a beautiful tool. Nessus is going to be commercial so that OpenVAS can be utilized. And it's an especially important tool for feed of the vulnerabilities for both community and commercial. It's also giving the commercial feeds. EtherCap is if you want to do ISCMP man-in-the-middle attacks, ICMP attack, DSCP spoofing, port stealing, NCP poisoning, such kind of MITM attacks. If you want to do it, EtherCap is the one of the best tool. Ghidra is one of the tool, is a software reverse engineering tool framework for developed by NSCA. And for those who are doing malware reverse engineering, this Ghidra tool can be utilized. SIFT is for those engineers who are planning to do the forensic capabilities, forensic engineers. That is where this SIFT can be utilized. And the SIFT is one of the good tool, and it is coming from the SANS, so that you can do all the things. With respect to the binwalk is like find the extract interesting files and data from the binary images and extract raw compression streams and opcodes for a variety of architectures, entropy analysis, compression and encryption, visualize binary data and difference in arbitrary number of files. In such kind of activities, this binwalk tool. DD-RISC is like a DD tool, disk duplexing tool, which you are collecting the data of various hard disks, taking images. Explico is helps you to extract files from internet profit capture that application data contained. So for example, from a PK file, Explico extracts each email, all HTTP content, each voice of a file, FTP, TFE, and so on. Is an open source network forensic analysis tool. Setbot is like an SSL configuration. If you don't have a SSL configuration for setting up CA, and you can do this. Veracrypt is one of the beautiful tool where you are hosting so many your data at Google Cloud, Microsoft Cloud, and all. But that data is not encrypted. Even though those employees or those, even the company itself can see your data and use for their own business purpose, because whether they are giving free, they can do all the things. So better option is that to encrypt these files and flash drives before dumping them into the cloud. So these are the three websites, opensource.com, where you can visit this opensource.com. So one of the beautiful tools, see, lot of tools are there in the open source base. Even if you are coming to the security, it's look like 396 projects, but we go to that is 396 topics. But these topics, like say, let's say take example password. There are a lot of things are available in this password. What you can do in the password, lot of tools you can see that. Cyber security, there are 135 are there. So you can, it's not only the data, you can have a tools, you can like a PCP, PCAP X-ray, a network forensic tool to visualize the packet capture offline as a network diagram, including device identification, highlight and all, attack navigator. And even though there are a lot of projects, you can collaborate with them and do that. So this is one of the beautiful tool which we can look into that about that. So if you're going back, so penetration testing, suppose if you want a lot of material, hacker, the repository is primarily maintained by Omar Santos and includes thousands of resources related to ethical hacking penetration testing. A monkey is an infection monkey, an automated penetration tool. You can click that particular tool. So these are the things, and this is available here. What is that? A tool which infects other machines and propagates to them. So how it propagates, infection monkey, you can look into that. Security report, zero trust report. So this is one of the beautiful tool, but you can participate with them and see that. So this is the website, you can go and check that, infectionmonkey.com, and you can download the tool. So it's open source security tool, you can develop, you can support, and you can collaborate and share that. So that infection monkey tool will be there. So your result is your network to advanced version, free download. An open source breach and attack simulation tool, evaluate the security post of your network, free download. So you have to give a name and all, a link to package will be sent to this mail. So get it now. So download and see that how it is happening and all. Zero trust features, guide report. See, that's where you need to do that. Now coming back to other two websites which I'm telling, for www.hackingtools.in, where hackingtools.in is basically if you wanted to be part of hacking and all the things like Android, anti-malware, debuggers, encryption tool, firewall and radius, forensic tools, lot of tools are available like Multigo, SleuthKit, Autospy, Encase, all you can download here. Okay, forensic tools. But at the same time, when you are having the sectools.org, so what are the best tools are available? What is their rank? That is where you can look into that. See, Wireshark, which we discussed at Metasploit, we discussed at all top tools. Nessus is vulnerability scanner, Aircrack is always not. We are talking. Cain and Abel is like a Unix password cracker. Backtrack is one of the format of Kali, Netcat, TCP dump, John the Ripper, Kismet. Their ranking, whether they are free or commercial, all these things would be there open source. So this ranking website can be seen. So like that, you can see that. So with this, I don't want to take kill your lunch time. I'm very thankful for your patience. If you have any questions, then I can rightly answer. Otherwise, we'll go for lunch. Chat box, there are 3.
Sir, Professor Sachin Bhagat this side from GNDC Ludhiana. Sir, can I ask one query?
Please, sir.
Yes, sir. So, like, sir, being a lots of application of our cell phones, we are assessing it for making payments or whether we are using our social media. So, sir, is there any way out we can make our cell phones secure?
So it's a typical question whether I cannot say yes or no. See, if the apps, when you are coming the apps, so there is a minimal security was giving by the respective. You're talking about apps only, no? Particularly.
Like sir, general security or like for desktop, as we are having number of the tools. So sir, any generalized tool for which you can say psychologically we start feeling that we are using some tool and we are up to some extent we are secure.
See, at this moment when it is coming to the security, mobile security, we have some kind of an anti-malware tools are available. So that anti-malware tools only we need to work it out. Other than more, see that the attacks are happening most on the mobile attacks are there when they are sending some kind of a clicking software like in a, what you can say that the phishing emails, phishing messages. When you are clicking that, there would be a .apk file would be downloaded along with that. That may be damaging your system, and that is also not that much difficult for them. See, it's critical to them until you share some kind of pin number and all that is what happening there. Otherwise, the system basically you look into that, there is no difference between desktop and mobile nowadays. And mobiles are better RAM is available, 8 GB, 8 GB, even the 12 GB mobiles are there. Where in our system still is the 4 GB, 8 GB is the system. The difference is operating system. Operating system they are using Android. Operating system here is using Windows, Linux, or Mac. Mobile operating systems. So most of the things is that apps, the spoofed apps are the mere critical. And while you are playing some games, forcibly they will ask you to, and they will offer free things. Then free things would be, they will be giving a link to you so that you will download some kind of a monitoring software like in a remote software. That is where. So in the when it is coming to the mobile, not to share, not to click, some control. If you are putting on yourself, you can save it. Otherwise, there are basic tools are available. Or even the open source tools are available. Whatever the antivirus which we discussed, they also work on these Android machines also. So you just search that free antivirus tools like Avast, AVZ. They are all supporting in a 1 year license for the general public. So that is only their marketing. They can't market like an high multinational companies. So that's what they were giving. Along with that, so we Cyber Suraksha Kendra of Certain is also hosted some of the applications. They were giving for the mobile also a threat management tool, and also they were given some kind of an M something like there. You may go to the Cyber Suraksha Kendra Certain. So you can download those tools and secure your mobiles.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. When there is no questions, then we can take. Yeah.
Yes, thanks, sir. Thanks for such a wonderful session. It was really eye-opening. So, sir, we are very much thankful to you for sparing the time to share your knowledge. Over to you, Pankaj, sir, if you want to say something.
Thank you so much, Murthy sir. Uh, it was a wonderful session, and we are grateful to you that you have spared your wonderful thoughts, your wonderful knowledge among the participants, and definitely for the further such kind of the academic assignments, we will avail your assistance. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye. Can we trust to open source tools? Somebody is last me question kiya tha. Yes. See, if you cannot trust commercial tools. Commercial tools are taking the your data nowadays. If you observe it, so most of the commercial tools are building based on the data how you are managing. Open source tools are now very much transparent, code is transparent and everything. See, even the you can configure yourself and you can believe you can build for your organization whatever whatever the way you want. So that's what we can trust open source tools, because everything is available with open source tool code, and the way you required you can reconfigure it and you can do it. Only you have to look into that. So there is no vulnerabilities when you are integrating with your organization. So with this, I'm very much thankful to all of you too for sharing whatever. You made me almost 1.5 hours without any kind of patience. That the patience clear, I'm very thankful to you. Okay, bye. Thank you.
Participants, this was all about for the second session. So the third session will be taken by Professor Sureshans at 2:15 a.m. So he will share the concerns related to the leadership role in the current pandemic situation, as well as he will share his thoughts, concerns, and practices for becoming the entrepreneurship. Thereafter, along with it, it is proposed that within the session, he will elaborate the role of the cloud computing for the concerns of cybersecurity. So all of you are requested to join the session on time. So the next session will start at 2:15 p.m. sharp. Thank you. So I have already shared the feedback link. So the participants can fill the feedback. But again, I do acknowledge that it is not the attendance phenomena. Whenever you log in, so the attendance is being conveyed and recorded by the Zoom interface. So thank you all. And I wish that every one out of you join the session at 2:15 p.m. Thank you.